Let's dive into the story of Zack Drake, a guy kicked out of the legendary Dragon Slayer family. He had zero talent with a sword and no aura. Instead, his real power was insane healing, letting him regenerate his own body. After countless brutal battles, he became one of the strongest and most feared mercenaries around, but he met a tragic end searching for an ancient relic only to wake up 20 years in the past with an ancient dragon soul and a broken immortal power. Now, he is ready to beat down everyone whoever dared to humiliate him. But first, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay right here because this gets wild. I have some awesome news for our channel members. Today I am bringing you guys every single chapter out there right now. I will be dropping weekly chapters exclusively for members, and once there is a big chunk of them, I will compile them into one massive recap video for everyone. So if you want to keep up with masterpieces like this and the Young Monarch weekly series, just hit that join button down below. Alright, enough talk, let's jump straight into part 2, which is absolutely mental. Our story kicks off in a freezing mountain range covered in snow. Deep inside a cave, a thug mocks our beaten main character, asking if he seriously thought he could escape their ultimate trap. Now watch closely, they demand to know where the ancient relic is, but our boy just swears at them. Even with his arm completely cut off, he asks if they would talk if they were in his shoes. The goons lose their minds and try to jump him, but the commander steps in, telling them to chill because he is going to contact the main battalion. He whips out a magical communication stone, reporting that the ghost of the North has finally been caught. He asks them to lock down the location, and from the other side of the stone, they confirm backup is on the way. The commander looks down, mocking Zack for still clutching onto his severed arm. He demands to know how the ghost of the North even found out about the relic that his Majesty is hunting for. The thug on the right complains that tracking Zack down was a massive pain in the neck, freezing his butt off for days. He grumbles that working this hard over some pathetic insect is totally unfair and he deserves to have some fun before backup arrives. Meanwhile, our beat-up, long-haired hero just stares, watching one of the thugs draw his sword. The creep tells him to get ready because he won't stop torturing him until he begs for death. The hooded guy suggests flipping a coin to decide who goes first, tossing a gold coin into the air. Now let's pause for a second because right as he is looking up at that spinning coin, Zack grabs his severed arm off the ground, holding it right against his bleeding shoulder. The moment the flesh touches, it literally starts fusing back together instantly. See, the biggest disappointment of the famous Drake family was Zack, born into a legendary clan of dragon slayers. He was strictly expected to awaken his aura and become an elite knight, but in their clan, if you fail your awakening, you are treated like complete garbage and exiled, which is exactly what happened to him. To survive, he had to claw his way up. Someone once warned him that if he only chased raw power, he would end up with absolutely nothing. Back in reality, the thug watching the coin finally sees it drop, but before he can even check the result, a shadow moves. Zack appears right behind him, slicing his head off in one clean motion, leaving his partner absolutely terrified. Zack just scoffs, finishing his thought that worrying about what power brings is total nonsense. The remaining thug spins around, desperately trying to fight back. But Zack knows the brutal truth of this world. The weak always get crushed by the strong, so he shatters the guy's sword in half, delivering a devastating punch straight to his chest. As the guy collapses, Zack walks over, picks up his other severed arm, and snaps it back into place. Starting to walk away, he remarks how embarrassing it would be to run away now. Suddenly, a whole squad surrounds him, completely shocked at how he just reattached his own arm. They call him a freakish, irregular, and a disgusting monster, but one soldier barks that it doesn't matter what he is. If they take off his head, he dies like anyone else. Surrounded on all sides, Zack knows he has to fight to his absolute limit to survive. Flash forward a bit, the battle is over and he slaughtered every last one of them, but he is bleeding out, muttering about how much this sucks. He is done. He did not even get his revenge, dying all because of some ancient relic that the greedy emperor wanted, the exact relic he hid. As his vision fades, you and I are about to see how his story truly begins. You and I are starting this crazy ride as Alicia's blood drops onto this ancient relic, and the second it touches that artifact, the relic starts glowing, and a system screen pops up saying a massive will has awakened. The ancient power, an energy dragon appears right behind him, and another screen says the ancient dragon's soul will be linked to whoever holds this massive will, while a cloaked woman stands behind him, basically giving him a blessing. And the screen says an emergency sync is starting, asking if Zach Drake accepts while he is just standing there. Being embraced by this random female spirit, totally clueless about what is happening, and once again the screen asks if he accepts, so he says he does not care and they can do whatever they want, confirming his consent. And a message says the irreversible power is activating. The countdown begins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then somebody says they knew he would look like this when he opened his eyes. Check this out, our boy Zach wakes up as a kid and realizes he literally time traveled. No way, right? He can still feel the phantom pain of those swords stabbing his body, and this room looks way too familiar. It is the training academy for the Drake family, and get this, the Drakes are legendary dragon slayers. One of the 3 great noble houses, founded 1,000 years ago by the hero who defeated the evil dragon Bahamut, saving the entire continent and creating the House of Tarek and Drake, which is why all of his descendants are super blessed. With crazy powerful aura turning everyone into badass knights except for him, of course, but then that system screen pops up again saying the system has rebooted, and he is totally shocked, having no clue what is going on. He jumps out of bed asking where that voice is coming from, and the screens show up again scanning him. Confirmed, the souls are 100% synced, and the ancient dragon's soul has successfully merged with the chosen one. He is totally speechless as the screen tells him he gained administrative privileges. It is a pleasure to meet you, Zach. Staring at this status window, he thinks it is like some kind of high-tier magic, probably from that ancient relic. Once his stats are fully loaded, he starts reading all the information, waving his hand through the see-through window. Realizing it is completely transparent, he notices something absolutely crazy. His class is a rare rank healer. Now you and I might find this crazy, but he is a rare rank healer with a dragon blessing. Old school, baby. These are ancient terms, but his master used to talk about them, saying the old folks called individual talents classes. And each class had its own unique skill, and his class was a healer, which obviously means his skill is recovery. He remembers his master putting him through hellish training that almost killed him, but now he is already a healer. So he decides to test his power right now, and the second he activates it, he is blown away to see it actually works. He remembers only becoming a healer in his past life at age 20 after opening his ether core. So he closes his eyes, focuses, and tries to unlock his ether core early, and when he opens them, boom. He actually did it. Sure, he lost the physical body he trained for years, but his skills and memories are intact. He even opened his ether core before turning 20, which is a massive cheat code for his new life. Sitting on the bed, he knows he needs to figure out all his new buffs, but right then a knock comes on the door and someone asks if they can enter, making Zach freeze in absolute terror because of who is speaking. The guy on the other side says he knows he is awake, and Zach gets super nervous, not knowing how to make the status window disappear before this guy walks in calling him young master. Zach is panicking, trying to hide the screen, but the butler just opens the door, walks right up to him, and asks what the hell he is doing. This is Zach's personal butler, Dicker, and Zach is like, wait, what are you talking about? Realizing the butler cannot see his ether core or the status screen at all, Dicker steps closer, asking if he is playing dumb, which makes Zach shake like a leaf. He has always been terrified of this guy, and the fear is practically hardwired into his body, but suddenly his passive skill, mental stabilization, kicks in, and Zach is shocked to feel all his panic vanish instantly. His class skill keeps his mind perfectly steady no matter how bad the situation is. Knows what he is talking about, making Zach shake like a leaf, remembering he has always been terrified of this guy. And he cannot help the fear printed in his body, which automatically triggers a special class skill for him, called mental stabilization, instantly wiping away all of his panic and leaving him completely shocked by the sudden calm, which keeps his mind perfectly calm and stable no matter what. Trust me, you and I are gonna love this. Alright, you and I are jumping right in as our main character realizes his new skill just activated automatically. He is totally lost, while his guide nags him again about how big this event is, asking if the young master is even paying attention. Zick nods, and the guy explains that this brutal aptitude test is none other than the legendary Pancracio. Hearing that name, Zick flashbacks to his old days of getting absolutely wrecked in this test. Talk about bad memories. Every single kid from the famous Drake family gets sent to the institute at age 7 for 5 long years. After brutal training and crazy rules, instructors grade them through the Pancracio, which is basically an all-out combat tournament. The coaches usually match up the fighters, but players can also agree to throw hands by mutual consent. With zero safety rules, people actually die here. Watch closely because this brutal test decides their entire future rankings. Rankings are on the line, so everyone has to go absolute beast mode. Zik heads straight to the arena floor. This is where the magic happens. High up on the stage, the main instructor yells that the final exam starts now. The crowd hypes up and the head coach, Van Mark, loves the energy, shouting that it is time to get this show on the road. He tells everyone to gear up and the cadets start prepping, though some are busy gossiping in the back. They point fingers, whispering if that loser Zik actually showed up again after the total beatdown he took last year. Honestly, if they were in his shoes, they would have stayed home, but he is still a Drake descendant after all. Zik just rolls his eyes because he can hear every single word. Meanwhile, the coach calls up Aaron and Goda. The two hop onto the stage, ready to throw down. As soon as the whistle blows, they charge like wild beasts. They trade blows, but one guy immediately lands a massive kick straight to the chin. Up in the stands, Zik watches. He already knows it is game over, charging in blind with zero plan and leaving massive openings, pure amateur hour. Just like he predicted, Goda gets absolutely destroyed, giving Aaron an easy win. Our main boy is not impressed. Zik remembers how he used to shake like a leaf just thinking about this tournament. Talk about a glow-up. He cannot believe how soft he used to be, but as he yawns, some dude across the arena is glaring. You and I can feel the pure bloodlust radiating from this creep who is just itching for a fight. Soon the coach calls. He matches up Zik and Leon. Once they step onto the stage, the coach asks if they are ready and both nod. Of course it is Leon again. This generic bully starts trash-talking, mocking Zik for crawling back after last year. He laughs, claiming the kid never learns. Zik just sighs, realizing some things never change, flashing back to the memory of Leon telling him to beg on his knees if he wanted to survive this test. Back then, Zik actually fell to his knees and begged for mercy, and Leon is always rigged to fight him. The bully definitely rigged the brackets, but the toxic Drake family would just say a true warrior overcomes any tricks. A dragon slayer shouldn't cry about rigged matches. By the way, this jerk is Zik's cousin, family values, right? In his past life, he never even met his 4 brothers, and his 10+ cousins treated him like garbage. That is just how the Drake clan rolls. Leon smugly congratulates Zik for having the guts to show up again. After taking such a brutal beating last year, maybe he is just too stupid to know when to quit. But right then, Zik's mental stabilization skill kicks in to keep him from completely losing his cool. It stops him from raging out. He calmly thinks to himself that it has been ages since he heard such garbage. He looks Leon dead in the eye and warns him that if he drops that loser label one more time. Leon just laughs, tapping his own head, asking what a worthless scrub like him is going to do about it. Big mistake. Zik moves like lightning, landing a devastating punch directly to his chin, triggering his instant death skill. This perk deals lethal damage but carries a massive risk if it misses. Leon starts screaming in pure agony. He cries about his bleeding face, while Zik realizes he was holding back, but the auto skill made things way bloodier. He is still figuring out how to control these overpowered mechanics. Meanwhile, the crowd is utterly stunned. The referee steps in, demanding to know why Zik threw a punch before the official start command was given. Zik coldly replies that real enemies on the battlefield do not wait around to yell ready before drawing swords. His terrifying dark energy flares up, declaring that only the strong survive. The coach is completely speechless. This is definitely not the weak kid from last year. Leon staggers to his feet, furious and ready for war. The referee officially greenlights the fight. You and I are about to see a legendary face-slapping session begin. Alright, you and I are jumping right into this crazy showdown. Lion threatens to kill Zik, who just laughs it off. The instructor gives the signal and Lion rushes Zik instantly. This guy thinks Zik only landed that first punch because of luck. He convinces himself that Zik is totally weaker than him. He thinks as long as he keeps his guard up, he is untouchable. With his defense locked down, he tries to predict Zik's moves, expecting a left punch to come flying at him. And when Zik throws that exact punch, Lion dodges and grabs Zik's leg. Talk about a clean counter right there. Lion goes for the takedown, trash-talking Zik and calling him a piece of trash, thinking he has got this one. Now pay close attention to this next second. Suddenly, Lion feels a weird sensation in his body, totally freezing up. Lion lets go of Zik immediately. Even the instructor is staring, completely shocked. This is getting crazy, guys. There is no way a 12-year-old kid has this kind of insane combat sense. It makes absolutely zero sense. See, when Lion dodged Zick's attack and tried to sweep him, everyone thought it was over, but Zick delivered a sharp blow. Zick landed a punch right on Lion's chin to break free, even though his initial attack was predicted and failed. Zick immediately recovered and launched another strike. That requires some elite-level focus and insane reflexes. That is monstrous for a 12-year-old boy. The instructor wonders if this is even the same Zick Drake. Meanwhile, Lion is completely dizzy after eating 2 clean punches to the jaw, realizing he needs to back up. But Zick does not give him space. He charges right back in, landing a heavy kick directly to Lion's leg. Lion stumbles back, cursing and wondering how a complete piece of trash got so incredibly strong, but he keeps talking smack. Even while getting his butt kicked, he keeps trash talking. Zick, however, is just focused on testing his control. The bully swings at him again, but Zick activates his sensory focus skill, putting all of his senses on high alert. His brain starts processing everything in super speed, and Zick realizes this is a whole new level. He easily dodges the wild punch, grabs Lion by the arm, and decides it is time to wrap this up. He slams Lion straight into the concrete with absolutely brutal force, literally cracking the arena floor beneath them. Everyone in the crowd is completely speechless after that devastating fall, and even the instructor is totally stunned. You and I both know Zick isn't stopping there. He activates his vital strike and aims right for Lion's gut. This vital strike deals massive critical damage by targeting the weakest spots, and Zick towers over him like a boss. He tells Lion that if his body is too weak, he will just keep pounding him until he finally surrenders. He begins absolutely beating down his cousin, leaving the instructor and the cadets watching in pure horror. After landing enough punches to satisfy his grudge, Zick stands up and says the games are officially over. He wipes off some sweat and turns his eyes directly toward those 4 spectators sitting in the stands. He commands them to come down and say what they want to his face instead of just watching like cowards. One of the guys stands up, calls out Zick, and declares he is stepping up to be his next opponent. He has some things to say, and Zick immediately recognizes this newcomer as his other cousin, Jen Wardek. Zick says that is fine. But fighting him alone is too boring, so Zick casually invites Lion Stone, Jen's massive bodyguard, to join the match. Zick smirks with pure arrogance and says this 2-on-1 match might actually make things a little more fair. His cousin gets completely triggered, asking if he was just insulted, while Zick playfully smiles with that cheeky, punchable face. He confirms it, calling him an idiot, which drives Jen absolutely insane with rage, wanting to smash Zick's face in. As they step down to the arena, the instructor begs Zick not to rush them and attack instantly like he did before. Zick finds it highly amusing to see this giant again. This is the legendary mercenary King Lion standing there. In Zick's past life, this guy was Jen's loyal servant who entered the academy, but was totally ignored due to family status. He had to teach himself in the Valhalla Academy, but eventually joined the knights of a small nation. The nation of Baranos soon fell to ruin, forcing this elite warrior to become a wandering mercenary for hire. But in chaotic times, people naturally gravitate toward the strongest, and his reputation started to skyrocket. Through years of bloodshed, he became a Red Knight and formed his own legendary group, the Stone Mercenaries. He united the 3 largest mercenary bands under his banner, earning the title of the Mercenary King. When the Empire hired them for the Continental Wars, Zick and the Northern Coalition fought Lion as enemies. And trust me, you and I are going to see if things play out differently this time around. Alright, you and I are about to watch this epic fight start as Jack wastes 0 time rushing Zick with a punch. He's grinning, thinking he landed it, but instantly freezes when Zick casually catches his fist out of midair. Zick reminds him he told them to attack together, while Jen yells he won't fall for his dirty little tricks. Jen goes for a brutal high kick to Zick's face, but gets blocked instantly and completely loses his mind. He can't believe Zick reacted so fast, while our main character tells him he should have analyzed the situation first. His cousin realizes his kicked leg isn't just blocked, it's totally busted, and that's when Zick strikes back. Zick charges him, pointing out he was way too distracted while charging up some major energy right in his fist. The cousin is literally shaking in his boots, and Zick mocks his fear as he fails to even predict the next move. Zick throws a slick feint, sweeps his leg, and laughs about why he wanted them to fight him together from the start. He starts absolutely thumping Jen, telling him he's way too weak alone, forcing the cousin to swallow his pride. Realizing he's doomed, he screams for Lion to kill this jerk, making our boy stop and analyze this massive newcomer. This guy doesn't look 12 years old at all, he is a literal mountain of muscle and sheer power. Now pay attention to this insane reach, as Lion stretches his massive arms out to strike Zik with ridiculous speed. Zik knows he can't just play defense here or he'll get overwhelmed. He needs to take control of this fight. He immediately lunges forward, rushing Lion head-on as they clash in a spectacular flurry of blows. Zik activates his signature slash skill, unleashing a lightning-fast barrage of strikes that tears into his opponent. The blinding strikes completely block Lion's vision, leaving the crowd absolutely stunned by this insane level of skill. Even the instructor is utterly shocked, while Zik smiles, knowing everyone is dying to know what he's doing. They've never seen a northerner use a deadly dagger style right in the sword-dominated central lands before. But Zik's young body is honestly kinda trash right now, and he's already starting to lose his breath. Plus, that monstrous giant is a real issue. He's not even dodging or attempting to counterattack. He's just tanking every single hit with his guard up, which is way more passive than Zik's mercenary days. With his stamina running dangerously low, Zik realizes he has to end this before his body completely gives out. He plans to bypass the giant's ironclad defense with a single, devastating heavy blow to shatter his guard. Lion just stares him down, but Zik charges up a powerful technique in his fist and leaps directly at him. You and I both saw that coming, but Lion actually dodges, making Zik realize these guys have absolutely insane reflexes. Lion grabs Zik's arm, trying to slam him down, but our boy brilliantly uses that momentum to his advantage. He delivers a brutal kick straight to Lion's face, activates his enhanced senses, and locks down the giant's arm. He drags the beast down, wrapping his legs tightly around Lion's neck to lock him in a deadly chokehold. He squeezes hard, knowing that no matter how tough you are, you can't fight back without oxygen to your brain. But suddenly, Zik coughs up blood as he realizes this monster still has a free arm and is pummeling him. This guy is absolutely nuts, but since Zik is in it to win it, he refuses to back down now. As he chokes Lion, the giant keeps slamming heavy punches into him in a brutal double knockout kind of showdown. The other cadets are totally shocked by the sheer violence, and even the instructor is visibly sweating. Finally, someone goes down. Lion completely passes out from the chokehold, collapsing heavily onto the floor. A girl in the stand smirks, thinking this is exactly the kind of strength she wants to defeat later on. Zik Drake heads back to his room after the fight, where his butler mentions hearing about his battle injuries. He asks if Zik is alright, and though our boy nods, the butler insists on checking his body anyway. Zik instantly gets suspicious, realizing the butler is trying to check if he can channel any of his aura. Before he can even protest, the butler grabs his arm and starts pumping pure mana directly into his body. Zik wonders if this guy is a blue knight, since normally they'd only examine the mana core itself. But this butler is scanning his vital points, which takes insane control to transfer aura between bodies like this. To do this at such a high level is crazy, pointing to him likely being a legendary blue knight. Now these knights are ranked by raw power and mana control, with white being the entry level for most kids. And trust me, you and I are going to see things get even crazier once that yellow aura finally awakens. Alright, you and I are diving into a world where awakening makes everyone a basic yellow knight. If you can actually control that aura, you become a purple knight, while blue knights are on a whole different level. They can summon sword aura, which is a tier only reached by those who push past their absolute limits. The mercenary King Lion hit this peak, and so did Zik in his past life, reaching the legendary Red Knight rank. Zik knows Black Knights exist too, but barely any monsters have ever reached that godlike power, which makes him wonder. How did his own butler reach the blue tier just to end up being his glorified babysitter? It makes zero sense. Plus, there is a legendary power called Ether that only 2 people in the entire world can use. Anyway, after his butler checks his body, he asks outright if his young master is hiding something, but Zik just plays dumb and asks, "What do you mean, aren't you the one hiding secrets?" They stare each other down until the butler laughs it off. The butler asks how he changed so much, but Zik turns around with a serious look and says that's the wrong question. He needs to ask why he only changed now. From here on out, everything is going to be completely different. Everything will return to where it belongs, so the butler just needs to sit back, watch, and let him cook. The butler nods, mentioning the private training room is ready. Zik is impressed by how fast he got it done. The butler wishes him a good day, but Zik tells him to rest, thinking he needs to keep this guy close. He has to gather as much info as possible, but choosing a side is tough since his mother is already dead. Should he side with his father or his brothers? Next, we see him arriving at the private training room looking around. It is actually pretty fancy. He calls up his system to inspect his stats and begins analyzing his options. He notices his beginner swordsmanship skill has upgraded to intermediate. Looks like his level rises as he uses it. Skills auto-trigger based on his actions, which makes him wonder if he had any of these abilities before. And if he learns a brand new move, can he add it to the system? He really wants to know the deal. What is the difference between class skills and normal skills anyway? Apparently their activation methods are super similar. Then there is his locked draconic ability, which needs 10 points of karma to unlock. Right now, big fat 0. He can farm karma points by slaying monsters. He thinks to himself that hunting monsters should be easy enough. Dungeons are everywhere, but he needs to reach the purple rank first to even stand a chance in there. Hold on, here is where we need to stop and think, why did he regress and what is this system anyway? He has so many unanswered questions, but looking at his class and broken skills, it definitely links to that relic. He is still missing details, but who cares right now? It is time to grind and get to work. He grabs a sword, determined to get stronger by any means, whether he uses his system or his old dragon powers. See, this world has two main powers. Aura is what knights tap into, and mana is what mages use through magic circles. Since these two forces are total opposites, aura wielders can never use mana and mages can never use aura. But our main character was born with 0 talent, completely unable to awaken a core or a magic circle. After his family threw him out, he met a master who trained him like there was no tomorrow. The best skills he learned were healing and the legendary ether core, which his master taught him how to control. They were the only 2 people alive who could use ether, but after 2 hours of training, he is completely wiped out. Now I know what you're thinking, is he going to pass out? Nope, his recovery skill kicks in. The skill instantly restores his stamina, taking him from shaking with exhaustion back to feeling perfectly fine. This kind of high-level healing is incredibly rare, and he did not even know it existed before meeting his master. If anyone saw this, they would brand him an irregular, which is why he kept it hidden during his fight. Instead, he sneaks back to his room to secretly heal his wounds, recovering completely in a matter of seconds. His new grind consists of training, healing, and repeating. Days fly by and the sun begins to set. Dinner is right around the corner, and after pushing his limits, he has no idea what to tell his trainer. A week passes, and down in the dining hall, everyone is gossiping about how much Zik has changed lately. They wonder what the hell happened to his brain, with some even whispering that he is using dark magic. He literally broke the nose of a high noble kid. Meanwhile, inside a private dining room, a group of cadets are stuffing their faces, and that girl Riane is eating non-stop. Trust me, our story is just getting started. So you and I are jumping right in while these guys talk about Zik. One says they gotta eat even without an appetite because they gonna need full bellies to train even harder. The dude talking is Owen Siemens, and on the other side, that beat-up guy. Trashed by Zik asks what he is talking about. Owen just mocks him, asking if his brain is totally fried by his massive inferiority. Complex, unable to even recognize a little bit of pure kindness. The salty dude stands up, yelling in anger, but knocks Riane's meat right off her plate, which makes her super mad. And the dude just looks so incredibly nervous. At her terrifying reaction, Owen asks what they should do now, and all 4 of them just stare, thinking about our boy Zik. Meanwhile, another guy says the wrestling was goofy but pretty impressive, though Zik's actual sword skills are definitely not going to be enough. Someone who can barely lift a sword is useless. The beat-up guy completely agrees, saying, there is no way he lost to a loser like that. Everyone saw it. He only won because of pure luck. But Riane glares at them, asking what they mean by luck. She says if that is their mindset, then they do not deserve to be Drake Knights. Now let us talk about the Knights battle, which is totally different from wrestling. Real swords are used, most casualties happen here, and this is where the students' skills actually evolve and level up. Trust me, you're going to want to watch this. After a year of intense training, the massive aura awakening ceremony finally kicks off. Some time passes, and the instructor calls Zik up. He walks out carrying a giant sword that is literally bigger than his whole body. The crowd is completely baffled by this massive weapon, but suddenly someone standing right in front of him calls out his name. It is Riane Troon stepping up. The two stand face to face, and she angrily announces that she is going to be his opponent. Our boy just smirks, saying that is totally awesome and happily accepts the duel. Meanwhile, Riene stands there thinking about how easily he is lifting that massive sword. She finally realizes this is not the weak Zik she remembers. He has gotten insanely strong and is trying to intimidate her, but that is just foolish. She cannot let him get in her head. Before the battle even starts, she is just going to do what she does best, which is completely crushing her opponent. Zik is also thinking that even though he accepted this match, he is still feeling a little bit nervous. Riene Troon is famously known as the Lightning Knight. She was an active fighter in the war and awakened her aura long before this ceremony, making her a genius of the next generation. It has been a few years since she awakened her power, but she never got a chance to use it here. The instructor finally gives the signal to start. She charges at Zik immediately, but he cleanly dodges. He fires back, she slips away, and the intense clash begins. She lands a heavy hit, but he blocks it, getting blown back. He realizes she is even stronger than he expected. But he still wants to fight. She charges again, and the crowd starts cheering, telling her to just end him in one shot. But the guy in the middle calls them absolute idiots, asking if they seriously think she is the one playing around here. Now pay attention here, because Zik is actually the one playing with her, while she is desperately searching for any sort of opening. She is sure he left a gap, but no matter how fast she strikes, he blocks it easily. It is almost like he knows exactly when she will attack, and whenever she does, a new opening appears, like he is purposely baiting her, which makes her even more furious. After trading a few more heavy blows, they both back off. She is already completely exhausted, while he is chilling, thinking he expected much more from the famous Lightning Knight. It is like she only learned her skills straight out of some basic textbook. Something crucial is missing, but since that is the case, he decides to give her a little nudge, dropping into a weird low stance. The crowd is completely lost. Riene wonders what kind of bizarre stance that is, questioning if he is trying to close the gap. But before she even realizes it, he is already closing in on her at insane speed. She thinks to herself that she will never lose in a race of pure speed, but then Zik's mind-blowing acceleration completely terrifies her. He aims a deadly strike straight at her head, but she barely dodges at the last second, thinking that as long as she keeps her distance, she can react to his attacks, but he keeps rushing her and she keeps striking back. Suddenly, she feels a sharp pain. Her nose got nicked, and Zik is already dropping low to strike again. She panics as he aims his sword upward. She is deeply worried now, and as the blade gets right at her throat, he screams at her to die, but she counters, knocking his sword away, which makes the crowd cheer loudly. They think Zik is done for, celebrating that this is the classic, powerful Riene they all know. She did not even use aura, but the instructor knows better. Trust me, you and I are about to see this go completely wild. Alright, you and I are jumping right into a wild fight where she totally broke her own golden rule by using her aura. She swore she would never use her aura, but now that stubborn pride is completely shattered, leaving her looking totally defeated. Zik is not having it. He asks what she is moping for, winding up a massive punch because this fight is not over yet. He lands a brutal throat punch, sending her crashing to the ground, spitting blood, and the entire crowd straight up loses their minds. They are screaming that this is not how real knights fight, complaining that using bare fists is totally unacceptable. They claim swordless fighting is for losers, insisting Riene won and that Zik does not even deserve to be called a knight. But our main character is just standing there picking his ear, totally ignoring the haters, as he asks a rising Riene if they should keep going. She tells herself she has not lost, but her guard fell. She took a nasty hit, wondering if she messed up, thinking she could have blocked it if she only had a dagger ready in her offhand to defend herself, so she closes her eyes in total shame and admits defeat. She conceded, leaving everyone speechless. Now hold on, because just days ago, Zik Drake was treated like absolute trash by this world. Yet Riene, a prodigy from one of the most powerful families, just lost to him as the referee calls him the winner. Fast forward, and we see a completely burned down castle with bodies scattered everywhere as enemy soldiers march through the ruin. Knights are tossing dead bodies off a cliff, and inside the burning ruins of that fortress, this guy, a glass-wearing noble, addresses Abel, asking what their next move is now that Zik actually managed to beat Riene. But Abel, casually sipping his tea, just shrugs it off, saying the kid is desperate and time is running thin. The big awakening ceremony is coming up fast. Glasses confirms it is in 2 weeks, and Abel mentions it has been forever since he last visited home, leaving him super curious about how this year's ceremony is going to play out. Zik's shocking victory shook the entire estate, prompting our boy to lock himself in the training room 24/7. A whole month flies by, and on the day of the ceremony, he is still grinding away in his training room. He honestly wonders how he ever became a legendary Red Knight with such a trash-tier body in his past life. Opening his status window, let's look at this together. As expected, maxing out proficiency ranks up his skills instantly. Resetting his proficiency back to 0, plus he unlocked a sweet new skill during that last brutal duel. And he already leveled up his new speed skill. Suddenly, a knock on the door interrupts his thoughts. Zik asks what's up and the butler says they leave in 2 hours. Our silver-haired boy replies he will be ready. Now they are heading out to the Grand Awakening ceremony, and Zik realizes it has been a hot minute since he visited. The main family castle is located in Troy, which serves as the true heart of the entire Drake family lineage. Right in the center of the continent, hosted at the birthplace of their legendary dragon-slaying founder. Stepping out of the carriage upon arrival, he finally stands before the ancient home of his ancestors. The legendary dragon's nest, and the second he steps inside, the instructor barks orders for everyone to line up. Zik scans the room, realizing these VIPs are high society powerhouses he only used to read about in newspapers. Spies and informants are everywhere, but he does not care. They will just watch him fail to awaken and ignore him. And leave him alone, except he suddenly feels a chilling gaze locking onto him from across the massive room. Recognizing that complete scumbag instantly, while another high-ranking knight walks up to ask what he is doing here. Wondering if he is scouting any promising kids today, but long-haired Abel just chuckles and says no. Though it is close, keeping his eyes glued to his little brother who is actually participating this year. This is the second son of the family, Abel Drake, a total psychopath who stares down Zik with creepy intensity. Zik thinks the guy is a genocidal maniac, not a hero, but he forces himself to stay perfectly calm. Because fighting back right now is impossible, in his past life he never even attended this massive event. He wonders if his choices altered the future, hoping things might actually go his way this time around. The announcer declares the awakening ceremony is officially starting, calling up the very first candidate, a kid named Aaron. Aaron steps up to the altar, dipping his hand deep into the sacred water, pricking his finger with a needle. As his blood drips into the water, a massive surge of brilliant blue energy explodes outward into the room. It swirls around, fusing directly into his body. Zik recalls how every single Drake descendant receives this blessing. At age 12, opening their magic cores to awaken their aura. And trust me, we are about to see if Zik can do it too. You and I are jumping right into this awakening ceremony, where most people unlock their powers after age 20. The instructor calls the next candidate up. Rumor has it that some rare dragon slayers can even awaken mana interference alongside their aura. And when the crowd sees that monument react, they are all like, yup, as expected, it is glowing bright red. Our silver-haired boy is thinking, awakening as a blue knight, your potential can push you up to red or black. And that, my friends, is a pure blood awakening, and the lucky winner of this pure blood status, it is none other than Riane Trum. The instructor immediately orders some gloves for her. Without these special family gloves, mana interference makes having a normal life completely impossible. So she puts them on and realizes they are seriously heavy, but hey, that is the price you pay for being overpowered. Once you prove you have pure blood, you officially get the Drake family name and some massive backing with tons of sweet perks. Now the crowd is buzzing because the main event is finally here. Our boy Zik wonders what kind of awakening he will get. Since he totally beat Riane, everyone is convinced he will get a legendary pure blood awakening too. No pressure, right? Zik never thought he would stand in front of this statue again. In his past life, he was just a pathetic loser. Back then, this ceremony was pure hell. He was labeled the Drake family's #1 failed awakening. It was an incredibly embarrassing title, but things are different now. He can use healing and even control the weather. Plus, he is not the type to give up easily. He is gonna stand tall on his own 2 feet. He tells the statue to hurry up. Now watch closely as he plunges his hand into the water, letting his blood drip to see if he finally awakens. He is super nervous waiting for a reaction, and the statue actually starts shaking behind him, but then absolutely nothing happens. The crowd has never seen this before. Abel just stares at him while Zik tells himself he did not expect much anyway. Thanks to Abel, everyone's hopes were sky high, and now nobody understands what the heck is going on. Is it even possible to not awaken? He is a direct descendant after all. people start whispering about his cursed blood. But Zik just casually wipes his hands, thinking that absolutely nothing has changed from his previous life. Whatever, there are plenty of ways to get strong without awakening an aura, but suddenly the system pops up with an apology. It tells Zik that an error was detected. He is completely lost, having no idea what is happening as the system speaks. The system says some crucial data needed for proper identification was totally lost during the analysis phase. So the system will now use its own authority to insert the missing details. Zik is just standing there, utterly confused. The terminal admits it misidentified his talent, initially classifying him as a mere healer. Since that class was already unlocked, they determined his newly acquired class is actually ultra rare. He is still scratching his head trying to process this, when the statue behind him suddenly starts glowing bright red. You and I both saw that coming, right? It turns red. He actually got a pure blood awakening after all. He stares at his status window, reading that the terminal detected a legendary dragon's blessing inside his soul. Zik is completely shocked by the system messages while Abel just keeps staring him down. The notifications keep rolling in. It says his bloodline talent, the blood of a warrior, was detected, and his awakened talents are merging together. A brand new class is forming, and Zik is utterly lost when he gets the final notification. He has unlocked a unique class called Immortal, but right after the red glow, the statue starts turning yellow. Everyone loses their minds. They have no idea what this reaction means or if Zik is even a pure blood anymore. Some think the monument is broken because there is no way a pure blood should have this kind of mana interference. Suddenly, Abel starts clapping loudly to get everyone's attention and says everything is perfectly fine. He points out that 2 pure bloods just awakened, asking the crowd if they should not be celebrating. Everyone looks at each other, realizing he is right. 2 pure bloods did awaken, so it is time to party. Abel orders the instructor to bring the special gloves for Zik, and once our boy slips them on, he realizes they are incredibly heavy. The instructor moves to the next candidate while Abel smirks at Zik. Zik knows Abel had a hidden agenda, but the guy still helped him out. Just thinking about it is pretty disgusting. A bit later, the instructor announces the awakening ceremony is officially over, and they are throwing a huge banquet. Everyone is invited to celebrate and have a good time, but our main character does not care at all. He walks away, muttering that this party is useless, and figures there must be a training center nearby. And that's where we leave it today, with a mysterious voice calling him baby brother. Who could it possibly be? Alright, stick with me here. He steps back, thinking things went way faster than expected when his brother Abel asks where he is heading. Why the rush? Our main character is absolutely furious, hoping this guy wouldn't even try to talk to him, but Abel just keeps staring. He looks him dead in the eye, congratulates him on awakening as a pure blood, and reaches out to shake hands. Zik instantly gets suspicious. If he refuses this handshake, he will put a massive target on his back, so he decides to play along for now. But a sudden, horrific memory flashes in his mind, bodies piled high and a completely devastated wasteland, just as he is about to shake Abel's hand. He bows his head and completely ignores the gesture. Abel looks absolutely furious, muttering about how incredibly disrespectful this is. He calls out Zik for being pathetic, but Zik just glares back, thinking there is no way he can shake hands with this absolute piece of trash. Abel plays it cool, saying just seeing his face is enough. He pats his shoulder and walks away, but our main character knows better. He is certain their paths will cross again. Meanwhile, at the banquet, people are gossiping that they have never seen anything like this before. At first, everyone assumed he was a total failure. Now they are whispering, wondering where the star of the show disappeared to. But our boy is already back in his room. He sighs, thinking the agonizing pain would kill him, but now he feels perfectly fine. Now pay attention to this part. He knows pure bloods possess a mana interference skill, a power that marks them as natural enemies of dragons, the ultimate beings of mana, but since almost everything in this world contains mana, every pure blood must wear special gloves. The second those gloves come off, chaos erupts. Curious, he decides to pull up his status window. Immediately, he notices his stats are completely different. Shockingly, he did not get the standard mana interference ability at all. Instead, he unlocked a skill called Mana Reflux. He takes a deep breath, realizing he needs to analyze this very carefully. He reads the description. Mana Reflux creates a powerful field that completely nullifies all mana nearby, so that is how it works. Since he has not activated it, the surrounding mana remains stable, Before the ceremony, his class was just a basic healer. But now his class is listed as the unique class, Immortal. He is completely lost. During the ceremony, most people awakened. With a blue light, the pure bloods glowed red. At first, his own light was deep red, but then it shifted to yellow right after the system claimed some crucial identification data had been lost. Remembering that bizarre moment, he wonders if the system terminal mentioned in the alert was actually that ancient bronze statue. Once the system injected the data, the bronze statue stopped glowing red. He has absolutely no clue what just went down. He racks his brain trying to remember if anything like this existed in his past life. That statue does not just measure power. In reality, the colored light reflects the user's class quality. Red represents rare classes, while yellow is reserved. For unique classes, that bronze statue is actually an ancient relic dating back long before the family founder even existed. Over time, the concept of specific classes was completely forgotten, so they only use the statue to verify awakenings. Rare classes are now simply referred to as pure blood awakeners. It is mind-blowing that none of the family heads ever figured this out. Checking his status window once again, he notices a surprising detail. He scored 100 karma points, probably because of all that gossip. Now let's see what we can buy with this. By spending 10 karma points, he can unlock draconic abilities. The first option is Dragon Eye, allowing him to analyze any target nearby in extreme detail. Next up is Royal Dragon, a skill that forces enemies to submit through sheer intimidation. And the third ability is Gluttony, which apparently lets him eat massive amounts and digest everything perfectly. Dragon Eye and Royal Dragon seem like the obvious top choices. He has no idea what is up with the Gluttony skill. Seriously, eating and digesting more, plus it costs 50 karma points to unlock, he decides to skip it. It is much smarter to grab the most useful skills first, so he purchases both Dragon Eye and Royal Dragon. Testing out the Royal Dragon intimidation skill right now inside his room seems way too dangerous, so he hesitates. Instead, he decides to test Dragon Eye. He activates the skill, his eyes start glowing, and he looks around. He wanted to analyze someone in detail, but his room is empty. He opens the window, searching for a target. The only thing in sight is the garden statue. He doubts this skill will even be useful when suddenly a prompt appears. The system asks if he wants to view detailed info on the selected target. He is totally confused by this. Then he realizes every single object he scanned has been categorized, showing him its complete origin and history. But after using the skill for just a short moment, intense fatigue hits his body. He slumps into a chair. He wonders if these draconic skills drain his stamina this quickly. Clearly, he cannot spam them. Suddenly, his healing skill kicks in, fixing him up instantly. Now, how do you and I think he'll use this crazy power? Alright, you and I are diving into a world where our main character accidentally triggers a healing skill and realizes something wild. His skills scale up as he gets stronger. Now his healing is fully automatic, instantly patching up any scratch or wound. He thinks this is straight up cheating. Sure, it looks basic, but in his past life, things did not work like this. Back then, his healing was super limited, but this time, it is on a whole different level. Naturally, he wants to test this broken cheat code, so he slashes his own arm to see what happens. Boom, the wound zips shut instantly. He remembers that academy graduation takes 5 whole years, but 5 years, that is for normal chumps. He is definitely wrapping this up in just 2 years. Now some time passes and we get introduced to Drake Academy. It is the premier night school on the continent and every aspiring warrior wants in. Families shell out a fortune for tuition. Every spring, the whole capital gets hyped for the new semester. The freshmen are chatting away, completely thrilled, while our boy strolls through the crowd doing some thinking. The seniors already look like battle-hardened adults, getting some insanely high-level training under their belts. But compared to academy trainees, these wealthy legacy kids already formed exclusive cliques. These noble families are a giant headache. Among the factions backing the Drake family, 3 houses are crowned as the absolute supreme forces. First up, House Tron with the bull crest, known for raw power. Next is Siemens, rocking the snake crest, known for wisdom. And third, the Wardeck family, sporting the weapons crest, who run the best blacksmithing operations. Pay attention here because these elite heirs are going to cause major drama later, but for now, our boy ignores them. He heads straight to his luxury dorm, the Platinum Mansion, thinking how awesome it is to enjoy pureblood perks. It features a private training center and a massive library. Only the absolute elite get access. Pureblood descendants get a whole floor to themselves, the platinum floor along with floor master privileges. As soon as he steps inside, a maid welcomes him and offers to guide him to his designated floor. While walking, every single butler bows. He wonders if this royal treatment is a bit overkill for a pureblood. One of the staff mentions that Mr. Dicker is already waiting in his room when our hero walks in. The butler greets him, our boy tells him to skip the pleasantries and spit it out. The butler says he has a delivery. Sitting on the table is a sleek box containing his custom gloves. He admits they feel way better than his temporary gear. The butler is thrilled he likes them. Our main character then mentions that besides the gloves, he is shopping for a new sword. He asks Dicker for his opinion. Dicker thinks it is a fantastic idea, especially since Troy is near the Mountain of Giants. There is top-tier iron and elite blacksmiths there. They say that by graduation, everyone's first real sword comes from Troy. Let's pause for a second. Everyone gets their first sword from Troy, but our guy has other plans. Watch this. He has a specific blacksmith in mind and wants to go visit him. He just needs Dicker to make a reservation. He shows Dicker a name on a paper, Jillian Walbert. Dicker admits he has never heard of this guy before. Regardless, the old man agrees to track him down, reminding him that classes start tomorrow and he should read his prep materials. Once the butler leaves, our boy starts studying the documents, feeling pretty good about having this whole floor to himself. This private setup gives him the ultimate freedom to secretly practice his epic dragon abilities. Just then there is a knock at the door. The maid enters, announcing that Lady Riene, another floor master, wants him for dinner. He remembers her reputation and agrees to go. He is escorted straight to the dining hall where Riene is waiting. She is sitting at a massive table surrounded by her loyal followers. Honestly, she looks like a straight-up mob boss. She greets him by name and welcomes him warmly, mentioning that her family does things a little differently around here. She waves her bodyguards away so they can sit face to face. They sit down opposite each other, ready to eat. She declares they will eat first and talk business later. Our hero is impressed by how smoothly she controls her aura. She is already on the verge of becoming a purple knight, but her combat skills are surprisingly basic. What a total waste of raw talent. He watches her eat, feeling a bit awkward. She finally speaks up. Now that dinner is over, she gets straight to the point, asking him to accept her family's sponsorship. Zik is stunned. He reminds her that he is a pureblood awakened. She chuckles, telling him he has completely misunderstood her offer. Sure, the academy hands out cool perks like the platinum floor, but they do absolutely nothing for his actual growth. And that's where we leave things. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what he decides. Alright, you and I are diving into a story where training takes real resources, and without them, nobody lasts long. She explains that. That is exactly why they need a solid sponsor. Even elite pure-blood awakened warriors like the legendary Abel Draker, who was the youngest Blue Knight and now rocks the red rank, had massive backing from his maternal side, the prestigious Siemens family. Meanwhile, the Torn family head did not specify why, but our guy got absolutely zero help from his mom's side. So she offers her own family's sponsorship again, but our main character is just not feeling it, completely rejecting her proposal. This leaves her super confused. She asks if there is something he dislikes, but Zeke is like, no, that is not it at all. He simply does not need any of those things, blowing her mind. Plus, it is not like he would gain much anyway. But before walking away, Zeke drops some major golden advice. Right now, she swings her sword with way too much raw force. Probably because she is obsessing over what others think, but he tells Riene to listen closely. Her biggest strength is actually her insane natural speed. She does not need to charge head-on or try to overpower people using brute strength. Instead, she must use her agility to dodge and then strike back with a single, perfectly precise counterattack. If she can master that, she will become 10 times stronger than she is right now. He bids farewell, thanking her for dinner. But as he leaves, she clenches her fists tightly. Her family crest stands for raw strength, and she was only trying. Watch closely here. Even though she ignores gossip, she knows he is right. She desperately wants to be worthy of her prestigious name. Even with a body not built for heavy weapons, Zeke clearly noticed that. Everyone always praised her as a young genius. But no one ever truly understood her limits. Who exactly is this Zeke Draker anyway? Meanwhile, after their late dinner, our boy heads back thinking about how insane his class change was. He trained all night long and still feels amazing. In his past life, this academy was a complete nightmare, but now that he is a pure-blood awakened beast, It actually feels like paradise. Sure, power and money are not everything, but honestly, nothing beats having both. As he strolls, two shady guys watch from the shadows and call his name. Zeke turns around to find Owen Seaman standing there. Owen mentions he is heading to the special class too. Zeke knows this guy is the third son of the powerful Seaman's family, one of the elite clans, and true to his nature, he loves cooking up underhanded, dirty schemes. He always used meathead lackeys to bully Zeke in the past, playing puppeteer with everyone. Out of nowhere, Owen claims he sent Zeke a dinner invitation and asks why he did not show. Our main character wonders if Owen is playing friend. Zeke remembers getting a random envelope and asks if it was that trash lying on his desk the other day. Owen asks why he never replied, and Zeke finds this hilarious. He chuckles and wonders if he was actually required to. Now pay attention to this guy. Some random extra steps out from behind Owen, warning our main character not to act so cocky. The massive bodyguard gets right in Zeke's face. Our protagonist is completely unfazed and calmly asks him who he is supposed to be. The big guy chuckles smugly, mocking Zeke for his ignorance, saying a nobody like him would obviously never recognize his greatness. Zeke retorts that he knows how funny it is for a watchdog to bark. He tells him to go annoy someone else. Furious, the extra throws a massive punch, but Zeke reacts instantly, blocking the heavy strike, though the force pushes him back. Zeke notes that the seniors at this academy can already harness basic aura. The giant flexes, bragging about his reputation. He proudly introduces himself as Durbin Russell, a beastly warrior who is going to teach our boy some manners. Zeke just laughs, mocking the name of this self-proclaimed monster. He tells him that he is nothing but a total joke. He is not even a real knight, just a loudmouth. Zeke blitzes forward at blinding speed, ready to shut him up. Zeke lands a devastating punch right into the guy's gut, sending him coughing up blood and launching him across the room. The big guy collapses, completely knocked out. Zeke stands over him and casually turns to the crowd. He asks if anyone else wants to try teaching him a lesson, looking straight at Owen to see if he wants some. Owen keeps a straight face, showing no emotion. He slowly walks past Zeke, muttering that our protagonist is indeed quite impressive. Zeke shrugs, saying he wanted some actual action too. He thinks about how the academy is split into two classes. According to the rules, if you lack natural talent, you are expected to make up for it with brutal, endless training. Regular students study from dawn until late at night, but in the special class, you get to choose your own subjects. This elite program is reserved strictly for high-ranking prodigies. Zeke actually had high hopes for this place initially. But almost everyone here is from the regular institution. He honestly cannot tell if this is a special class or not. But trust me, we are about to find out as the instructor suddenly yells for everyone to shut up, saying that Alright, let's jump in. This guest came to greet the special class, and he was the commander during the War of the West 20 years ago, which totally shocks everyone. The instructor keeps talking, calling him a legendary hero who stopped the Imperial invasion with pure strategy. This is President Howard Drake, and the chubby old guy says, "It's a pleasure to meet them." But our main character remembers this famous war hero is far from pure. Sure, he's called a master strategist, but his victory only happened because of some bought information that ended up confusing the enemy. The guy just got lucky thanks to a traitor. How can a rat like him be called a hero? Plus, he was the one who got our boy kicked out of the academy, leaving him to wander endlessly through Troy until he got captured and sold as a slave. This old geezer will definitely pay. Once the old man leaves, the instructor tells them they must be hyped up by the president's words. So they should grab their swords. They are starting training right now, straight on the main field. And now, at the special training grounds, you and I are about to watch our main character face a total nightmare. This basic cavalry training is mandatory, but in his past life, since he couldn't use aura, this simple class took him 2 whole years instead of 3 months. Just as his head starts hurting, another instructor walks up. He says it is a pleasure to meet them. His name is Andre, and he is teaching basic killing techniques. Meet the famous Scarlet Knight Andre Drake. The other cadets instantly start whispering, wondering why he is wearing an official Drake uniform, but our boy knows this Scarlet Knight graduated from the elite academy way ahead of schedule. Despite not being a pure-blooded awakened, he even finished as the absolute top student in all of Valhalla. This genius of the century is a completely different level of teacher for this special class. He was notoriously brutal in the past. Andre immediately yells at them to shut up because playtime is officially over. They need to draw their weapons right now to begin, but as everyone complies, Andre locks his eyes on our boy, asking what kind of sword he is holding. Zik draws it calmly, saying it is his personal blade. Andre just glares at him, absolutely furious. He orders Zik to step forward and demands to know if he understands that students must use swords suited to their body size. Zik knew this guy would complain about his choice, but there was no other option anyway, so our main character decides to throw out a crazy proposal and asks if he can keep using his sword if he beats him. Talk about a bold move, right? This absolutely triggers Andre, who unleashes a massive wave of killer pressure. Luckily, Zik's extreme mental defense immediately kicks in. Andre warns him that if he really wants a physical lesson, he can go ahead and use his weapon. But if he loses, he will be severely punished. Andre draws his sword, letting his intense aura flare up. He glares at Zik, declaring he will also be permanently banned from the class. Then Andre tells him not to worry because he will not even use his aura. Our boy thinks, oh, how generous of him. But since he knows the knight's exact weakness, he can still win. Zik also notices that Abel is watching closely. Standing out too much would be dangerous, so he decides to hold back. He grips his sword and says they should begin. He instantly lunges forward, aiming directly for Andre's neck, but the instructor blocks the strike. Our boy realizes the guy is incredibly strong, meaning this will be a tough challenge. He keeps slashing from every possible angle, but Andre deflects every single blow without stepping back. The watching cadets whisper that the elite Drake officers are truly on a different level. Over 30 minutes pass without a single scratch appearing on Andre, but they have no idea his sword is actually vibrating violently from Zik's heavy impacts. Andre wonders what kind of ridiculous, heavy strength this kid has. Even without aura, he should not feel this pressured. But since Zik is not a pure-blooded awakened, it almost makes sense. Meanwhile, Zik notices the instructor's energy is starting to drain because he is holding back his aura. The Drake family training is very unique. They use aura constantly, even while eating or sleeping, so that manipulating it becomes as natural as breathing. Right now, Andre is basically holding his breath. That means our boy can just exhaust him by attacking relentlessly. He charges forward again, aiming to force the instructor to burn through his stamina much quicker. Andre blocks the blow and shoves him back. Our main character realizes this defensive wall is still extremely tough to crack. He has to force him to use aura. Stick with me because this fight is about to get way crazier. Alright, you and I are diving straight into the action as our guy instinctively flares up his aura the second he hits the ground. In a flash, Zik vanishes with insane speed, completely catching Andre off guard because our main character just popped his swiftness skill. He starts pacing around like crazy, making Andre think it is a joke, but little does the instructor know our guy is already right behind him, activating his deadly instant death skill. But at the absolute last second, Andre whips around and reacts instantly, unleashing the legendary Dragon Slayer technique. Chapter 1, Verse 1, the legendary Celestial Slash. He blasts Zik with a massive wave of energy, sending him flying and leaving everyone in the crowd completely speechless. The background extras are cheering because our boy is taking a beating, but even though Zik blocked it, his sword is totally trashed. He is like man that hurt like hell, so he quickly activates his recovery skill while thinking he might actually pass out. Sure enough, he collapses onto the dirt. The instructor sheathes his blade and stands there in dead silence for a moment, before announcing that this student never needs to show his face in his class again. He asks if anyone else wants a piece of this action. Now look at them, everyone is literally frozen in pure shock. Andre, absolutely steaming with rage, takes that as a silent no and barks at everyone to grab their swords. Some time passes, and our boy finally wakes up, realizing things did not go too bad, even though he ended up losing the fight. Andre actually had to use his aura despite saying he wouldn't, which means he totally acknowledged our boy's crazy skills. Plus, getting kicked out of class means free extra slacking time, which is basically a win-win for everyone involved. But that final move was the absolute weakest Dragon Slayer technique. Chapter 1, Verse 1, the Celestial Slash. In the hands of an expert, it packs insane power. Still, our guy could have won using his broken healing and infinite energy hacks, absolutely broken, but hey, getting his freedom was all that really mattered to him anyway. To stay completely free, he needs absolute power, a strength that nobody else can ever hope to reach, but his. Suddenly, his train of thought is ruined by some random drunk guy drinking right next to him. You see this, right? Arthur's youngest son, he asks. Zik is shocked, wondering who this old drunkard is and how he knows that name. The old geezer says his eyes are identical to Arthur's, calling him arrogant. Meanwhile, our guy is sweating because he didn't even sense him. Zik demands to know who he is, but the old man just ignores him, asking how he pulled off that little trick. Confused, Zik plays dumb, but the geezer keeps pressing him about taking massive damage and walking away completely fine. Our guy panics, wondering if this random old man actually saw him use his secret cheat code healing magic. Suddenly his extreme mental defense skill kicks in. He calms down, telling himself it is impossible for anyone here to know about it. So acting totally clueless, Zik says he has no idea, but this old guy gets pissed and throws a sudden deadly strike. Aiming straight for Zik's neck, he barely dodges at the last second, throwing a pillow to block while wondering if he is an assassin. He hurls his bedsheet right into the old man's face, but the geezer just chuckles, praising his quick reflexes. Seeing an opening, Zik activates his swiftness skill along with vital piercing, aiming to strike back immediately. Followed by instant death, charging the old man with his sword to end this fight right now. Before the old guy can make another move, but then the old geezer casually catches his sword barehanded. Shocking Zik completely, the old man chuckles, praising his improvisation skills before asking if he is actually some kind of mercenary. Zik is totally baffled, staring at him and desperately trying to figure out who this monster really is. Zik takes a few steps back, sweating bullets and wondering how this stranger could possibly know about his past life. As a mercenary, the old man just remarks that a swordsman who throws weapons and retreats acts more like a sellsword. Then a noble knight casually handing the sword back, Zik is left standing there completely stunned. He realizes this is the first time he has felt this kind of overwhelming pressure since meeting his master. An absolute powerhouse who could end his life in a heartbeat, he must be a legendary Red Knight. The old man then asks why he uses a longsword, pointing out that such a clunky weapon makes no sense for someone with his skill set, but before Zik can answer, the door flies open and a voice calls out. It is Andre. The instructor demands to know who Zik is talking to, explaining that this old guy is Mr. Dexter the gardener. Our guy is totally lost, while the old man asks Andre how he found him. Andre mentions he saw him at the training grounds earlier, and the old man groans about him ruining all the fun. Andre, still furious, tells Zik he can leave, but trust me, you and I know this mysterious gardener is not done yet. Alright, you and I are jumping right into this wild story where our main character is told to hit up the academy greenhouse. They just stand there staring, but our boy basically says no thanks, walks right out the door and leaves the old man absolutely fuming. He mutters that the kid is just like Arthur. Our main character wonders how a random gardener knows that name and thinks he is no fool. No way is this guy just a gardener. He literally called the current family head by his first name like it was nothing. And since his only disciple was Andre, this old dude has to be the legendary Knight of the Tempest. Duke Drake, a total beast with enough power to destroy an entire empire by himself, one of the elite Black Knights. He vanished years ago, leaving everyone stressed out, but it turns out he was just hiding right here in the academy. Andre probably tracked him here. If this old guy is really the Duke, that is terrifying, and he definitely has an agenda. Why is a legendary Black Knight lurking in a school and suddenly stalking our boy? It makes no sense at all. Should he just take whatever the old guy offers? If he is going to learn anything, it better be the vision technique. His master plan, turn this old man's curiosity into a total obsession. Cut to a few days later, he is in magic class. This is Professor Pimin, the theory teacher. His lectures are so unbelievably boring that literally the entire class is fast asleep. The professor asks a question and our main character actually answers, saying it could cause major internal damage. He admits he did not fully get the mana conversion theory, which totally hypes up the teacher. Finally, a student who actually cares. He goes into full nerd mode, explaining everything to Zik in detail. Class ends, and as everyone heads out, Zik realizes the material is actually pretty easy to wrap his head around. The guy is not a bad teacher at all. But then Professor Pimin tells him to wait and Zik wonders what is up. Pimin is thrilled to finally have an interested student. He tells Zik to drop by his office anytime he has questions. He promises to share his massive brain since he graduated from the prestigious Magic University of Day. Zik knew this teacher was not some average guy, but he did not expect him to be from such an elite magic academy. Zik politely thanks him and heads out, thinking this could be a really sweet setup for him. You and I both know making friends with a brilliant mage is a huge win. They are way smarter than muscle brain knights. This Pimin guy is going to be incredibly useful to Zik down the road, unlike those annoying knights. While walking, Zik notes the old guy has more chill than expected. It has been a whole week already. But look who is waiting on the bench. It is Duke Drake asking if he is finally done with classes. Zik asks what his deal is, but the old man cuts him off and demands to know why he ghosted the greenhouse. The old man asks if he is stupid since he wants to teach him cool stuff. Zik bluntly rejects him again. The old guy is absolutely furious, yelling that Zik does not even know what he is missing. Zik admits he knows the old man is strong. But Zik says he is way too busy with his own solo training. The old man actually agrees that solo practice is key. Just as Zik starts nodding, the old guy says, "Psych, no way was I going to let you off that easy." He instantly teleports behind Zik, and before our boy can even react, a swift chop to the neck knocks him clean out. Zik wakes up totally dazed. He did not think this crazy old dude would actually kidnap him after a week. Yup, he is in the greenhouse. The old man tells him to get up and Zik demands to know why he kidnapped him. The old man admits it proudly. He says he did it because he is super interested in Zik's hidden power. Zik realizes he can't hide his power. Watch closely as he activates his super speed skill to escape. He needs to get out of there fast, but the old guy basically teleports right in front of him again. Zik pivots, trying to book it down another path, but the old man just teleports to block him yet again. Zik is getting super frustrated. Why is this guy playing with him? He needs to create a quick distraction. He asks why the old guy is so obsessed with him. The old man responds by asking how he got so fast. Zik just smirks, rolling his eyes at the question. He tells the old man if he is so curious, he should find out himself. The old man goes quiet thinking, but the second Zik blinks, the old guy completely vanishes from sight. He is totally gone. Zik is looking around, completely unaware that a sword is already flying through the air. The weapon comes flying right at his back. Zik senses it at the absolute last second, barely dodging the incoming blade. He snatches the sword midair, demanding to know what that was. The old guy chuckles, saying this is the easiest way to find out. He makes a bet if Zik lands a single blow, the old man does whatever he wants. Let's see if he can do it. Alright, you and I are about to watch our main character go head-to-head with a duke, betting his biggest secrets. If he loses, he is spilling everything, leaving the duke wondering what in the world this crazy kid is actually made of. 3 hours have already passed, and it is not just that he has insane stamina, but his energy and injuries keep healing up. With his health constantly regenerating, Zik rises from the rubble, making the shocked duke realize this kid is no joke. Even though Zik's recovery is unreal, he is definitely feeling the pain and stumbling around like a total zombie. But then his class skills kick in, and he realizes he can do this all day long because losing is not an option. He has been holding back his dangerous real dragon powers, but holding back against a legendary Black Knight, pure suicide. So he locks in, getting as serious as he used to be back in his mercenary days. Focusing his mind to the absolute max, he looks up and tells the Duke that they are ready to keep going. The Duke just stares right back, telling him to bring it on as Zik begins wrapping his body in pure ether. Activating his quickness skill, he charges forward like a rocket, but the Duke easily sidesteps his lightning-fast sword. He thinks Zik's moves are predictable and weak compared to that monstrous girl from the Trum family. Now watch closely here because this kid is way too persistent, forcing the Duke to consider using his aura. He wonders what a tiny splash of his aura would do, but then Zik unleashes his terrifying real dragon skill. The giant dragon eye staring at him totally shocks the Duke, who immediately slaps away and breaks Zik's sword. Our main character has no clue what just went down, realizing his vision is blocked, making it impossible to spot his opponent. But surprise, surprise, Zik is already behind him, diving in for an epic sneak attack from the shadows. Using his dragon eye ability to see through everything, he strikes with his broken sword, aiming right for the Duke. The Duke dodges, vanishing into thin air like the wind, leaving Zik looking around in absolute confusion. He created a literal windstorm just by running, proving exactly why they call him the famous Storm Knight. Suddenly, the Duke spawns right behind him, saying they will call it a draw while charging up a massive punch. He lands a devastating blow straight to our hero's gut, sending him flying backward as he coughs up a waterfall of blood. A system window pops up warning him that his fatigue limit has been reached, forcing his skills to shut down completely. He chuckles, thinking like master, like disciple, as the system force sleeps him for his own safety. Zik blackouts completely, but when he finally opens his eyes, he is tucked in warm in his own bedroom. You and I both know that waking up safe in your own bed after a massive fight is always suspicious, right? Zik realized he gave it everything against that Black Knight, but his best was not enough to match that absolute beast. He took the same heavy hits hundreds of times, letting his guard down, but he still found a sneaky opening. He tried using his real dragon skill and dragon eye to land a hit, but the Duke blocked it effortlessly. The move at the end was definitely vision, and abusing those heavy dragon skills knocked him out cold. Still, pushing his body to the absolute limit let him analyze the Duke's speed, which was blindingly fast. Even weak-bodied Andre became a red knight using this exact vision, proving how powerful this technique truly is. It really sucks that he missed the chance to learn it, but this whole experience was totally worth the epic beatdown. Besides, his real dragon intimidation skill is so broken even a Black Knight struggled to resist it. Normal fighters will definitely pass out instantly next time he uses it, but suddenly his system alerts him with a message. He is confused by the unread mail, but the system announces that his rank D quickness skill just evolved. Now at rank C it is called Swift Steps, and his soul has leveled up alongside his unstoppable willpower. With his soul expanding, new system admin functions are finally unlocking, ready to be purchased with karma points. Seeing this crazy upgrade makes him lose his mind because he is looking at some game-like features. He now has a handy mini-map to view surrounding terrain and a pocket inventory to store his loot. There is also a beginner quest book packed with tutorials to boost his efficiency and overall power. He wonders what kind of weird business this is, but the inventory function seems the easiest to understand. Wanting to test the inventory first, he buys it immediately, gaining the ability to store specific items inside. To retrieve anything, he just has to picture the item or say its name out loud. So weight and size change his inventory space. Stick around because you and I will see how he uses this broken skill next time. Alright, you and I are watching him learn how karma points expand his pocket dimension. To test it, he grabs his broken sword, deciding to put the system to the test. He aims to shove this busted blade right into his inventory and boom, with just a single thought, the weapon literally vanishes from his hand, instantly stored inside the system. He sees it took up 2 of 28 slots, finally understanding what weight and size actually meant in this world. One quick thought later, the sword pops right back out. He realizes this is way more useful than some expensive subspace box, especially since hauling heavy gear around has always been a massive pain in the neck. Since he can upgrade it using basic karma points, this cheat code is honestly downright ridiculous. But there is a catch: his admin level is still super low, making him wonder how crazy it gets once he ranks up. Those karma points are seriously precious, so he has to spend them wisely while rethinking his entire master plan. Suddenly, Derman knocks on the door asking to come in. Zik asks what is up, and his butler says a message just arrived. It is from the gardener, who claims Zik will recognize it. Zik smirks, realizing his plan is still in play. He has not failed yet. The message says if he wants another shot, just show up. This brings back memories of their epic fight that ended in a tie. Watch closely because this draw means he still has one last shot. The servant also mentions he finally tracked down that blacksmith Zik requested earlier. Our hero immediately asks if he successfully booked him, but there is a major problem. The guy is flat out refusing to take on any new orders. This news totally stuns Zik. Cut to the blacksmith's house, which is completely dark, messy, and quiet. The smith collapses onto the floor, completely wasted, slurring that he is done forging weapons forever. The next day, Zik decides to pay him a visit since they have not caught up in a while. He arrives at Fafnir's breath, only to find the workshop in total chaos. He calls out, thinking of Graham, the legendary sun's sword forged by Jylon in his past life. It was a masterpiece with the exact skill he needed, capable of converting ether into deadly aura, yet the legendary blacksmith who crafted it is currently acting like a complete idiot right in front of him. A grumpy Jylon asks who this kid is and barks at him to get lost. Zik knows the guy is moody. But this is on another level. He wonders what on earth happened to him before they originally met. Without hesitating, Zik grabs a bucket of cold water and splashes it right in his face, shocking the drunk smith. You and I both know that woke him up. Zik demands to know why his booking was rejected, but then the blacksmith spots the Drake family crest in Zik's hand. Shaking with absolute terror, he immediately drops to his knees. Begging forgiveness, he admits he is not taking commissions because he cannot even forge what he wants to make. Let alone satisfy other clients, he begs for patience, leaving Zik deep in thought in his past life. Jylon was already celebrated as the continent's greatest blacksmith, but he never shared a single detail about his mysterious past. Zik knows he cannot just sit around for 10 whole years waiting for this guy to solve his personal identity crisis. Zik snaps him out of it, and the embarrassed Smith quickly apologizes for his pathetic behavior. Zik tells him to forget about it, finding it quite amusing that even a legendary master has some major flaws. He decides to head straight to the back room, knowing he must be completely blunt with him. Once inside, Jylon apologizes again for the massive mess, but Zik easily brushes it off, admitting the chaotic space is actually quite fascinating. It feels exactly like stepping into an ancient graveyard of swords. He begins picking up the blades to examine them. Jylon warns him that they are incredibly sharp, but our hero notes these discarded weapons are actually far from failures. Inspecting them one by one, he realizes even these discarded flaws are masterclass works of art. Using his dragon's eye skill to peer into the metal, Zik casually asks if there is something wrong with his forge. This query completely stuns Jylon, who demands to know how a mere kid could possibly know that. Zik replies that he asked first, pointing out the chaotic mix of lightweight materials used to craft these failed weapons. With a swift strike, he declares them all weak, effortlessly shattering the blades right in front of the shocked blacksmith. He explains the failure is due to lingering impurities left behind during the smelting and forging process. Jylon is completely speechless. This kid spotted fatal structural flaws in an instant, flaws he himself had completely missed. Realizing this boy might be his savior, he clenches his fists, gathers his courage, and asks Zik a question. He asks to show him something. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see this. Alright, you and I are jumping right back in as this blacksmith shows our main character a legendary blueprint. It is the magic furnace he uses 10 years later, and he remembers Gillam telling him to never hide anything, especially from his benefactor. See, this bad boy controls heat with magic, and let me tell you, it is epic. This beauty literally saved his life. Our boy says it is totally his style, and Gillam praises his great taste. So our main character asks why he hasn't built it yet, and Gillam admits he wanted to start right away, but the magic tower is charging an insane fee of 10,000 gold. This completely blows our main character's mind. A normal family of 4 only spends 10 gold a month, so no wonder it took him forever to save up 10 whole years to be exact. Zik agrees that is a crazy amount, and Gillam says that is the reason he wanted to make a deal. Since Zik is a legendary pure blood awakened, if he helps, he will owe him forever. Free gear for life sounds amazing, but our main character knows getting that kind of cash is a major headache. It would be simple if he came from a rich, noble family, but earning that much cash fast is basically impossible. Still, he cannot just walk away. Then, looking at the furnace blueprint, a sly smirk creeps onto his face. He has a plan. He tells Gillam he will take the deal, shocking the blacksmith, but our boy has a shortcut. He knows a certain mage who can help, and he will be back with good news. But before leaving, he adds, the blacksmith needs to lay off the beer. Gillam literally starts crying tears of joy, thanking his savior repeatedly. He promises to treat him like royalty. Zik just waves and walks away, saying he will keep in touch. Back at the Academy's research lab, Zik wonders why the magic tower is charging such a ridiculous price. The furnace design is actually super simple. He remembers that Painon is a mana engineering genius who can help. But as he walks, loud shouting echoes nearby. He glances down a dark alleyway and notices some major drama. Let's check this out together. Some punks are ganging up on a poor guy who is already totally wrecked. The victim begs for mercy, taking all the blame, while Zik's arrogant cousin just glares down at him. This triggers a bad memory for Zik, reminding him of when Leon beat him and called him trash. Leon literally stomped on his head back then, laughing while our main character begged him to stop the torture. He acted like he was doing him a favor while everyone mocked him, and Zik had to swallow his pride. Remembering that humiliation makes our boy absolutely furious, he steps closer to the alley to stop the beatdown. Leon is brutally kicking a student, shouting that the guy is just as useless as that trash Zik. He is furious about the testing statue turning yellow, wondering how Zik could possibly be special. He screams that a mere commoner cannot be a pure blood, kicking the student again to vent his frustration. He claims he only lost because he let his guard down and that Zick's victory was just pure luck. Suddenly, Zick calls him a little shrimp from the shadows, completely shocking everyone in the alley. Now you and I both know Zick is not playing around. He smirks, asking if Leon found a new punching bag. Then his face goes cold. He tells Leon he has 3 seconds to get lost before he gets wrecked again. Leon's jaw drops when he notices him, but he immediately snaps, calling Zick an arrogant punk. He sneers, asking if Zick really thinks he's hot stuff just because of that pure blood test result. Zick tells him to shut his mouth, warning that Leon and his lackeys better bow down right now. He unleashes a truly terrifying aura, and Leon starts shaking, completely overwhelmed by this intense pressure. He cannot believe the guy who used to crawl at his feet is now terrifying him like this. Trying to desperately shake off his fear, Leon rages, asking how an inferior bastard dares command him. He orders his thugs to attack. As they charge forward, our main character just lets out a tired sigh. He tells them not to blame him since they started it, effortlessly dodging the first incoming punch. He counters instantly. The thug cannot even react before a devastating fist smashes straight into his face. The other two realize they are in trouble, but Zick steps in and lands a brutal punch. Right on the chin, he grabs the next guy, slamming him hard onto the concrete with absolute ease. He tosses one body onto another, taking them down one by one as more thugs try to rush him. But Zick does not care about numbers. Trust me, you and I are about to see him completely wipe them out. Alright, you and I are jumping right in as he wipes out Lan's entire squad, leaving him absolutely terrified of this insane strength. He wonders if this is really the same Zick he used to pick on, but Zick tells him there's no need to fear. After all, he remembers exactly how hard he used to beat him. Terrified, the cousin draws his sword and tells Zick to get back. He warns Zick he'll slice him if he gets any closer. Zick just smiles, asking if he's really drawing a blade right here. Drawing a weapon outside the designated training grounds, Zick cold-eyes his cousin, calling him out by his full name, Leon Conrad. Leon is the one who showed clear murderous intent by drawing a live weapon outside of the sanctioned training arena. So now Zick Drake is going to match that killer intent. He aims his sword and unleashes a crushing aura right at Leon. The bully starts shaking in his boots as Zick calmly mentions that according to their sacred family tradition, this is a fight to the death. Watch closely because Zick is putting all the blame squarely on Leon's shoulders. Lion Stone will be the witness. Ironically, Lion is the victim here, the kid destined to become the legendary mercenary king later. But right now, Leon breaks down sobbing, begging for forgiveness before dropping straight to his knees on the hard floor. He literally wets his pants, trembling and crying hysterically on the floor while begging Zick to spare his pathetic life. The main character looks down at this pathetic sight and thinks, wow, the guy really is a total loser in this life. So Zick suddenly swings his blade, slicing right past Leon's head, which completely shocks the terrified bully who can't believe it. He decides to spare his life, but takes his ear as a little souvenir instead, making his cousin scream in pure agony. Zick warns him that next time they cross paths, it won't be an ear rolling on the ground, it'll be his entire head. You might think Zick did this out of kindness, but when Lion asks why he saved him, Zick brushes it off. He walks away, secretly realizing he actually saved his own past life memories from being ruined by such a cringe scene. He chuckles at how close he came to saying something super embarrassing. Next up, we see him in Professor Painon's office. Zick asks if his blueprint project is actually possible, and the professor confirms it is, but tells him to hold on first. Painon wants him to listen to the explanation before making any wild favors. The overall structure is actually pretty simple. The real issue lies in the core itself, which acts like the beating heart of the entire magical forge system. Making it work is incredibly tough. Even at a small size, it has to produce way more mana than normal cores. This allows the forge temperature to be adjusted freely, which is something the professor has literally never seen before. Zick asks if it's genuinely doable. Painon nods, explaining there are 2 ways to actually make this happen. The first way is customizing the design himself, but that calculation process alone would take at least 15 years. Zick is completely shocked by that massive delay, but the professor quickly reveals a second, much faster option. Instead of building a standard core from scratch, they can use an alternative material to save years of work. The only catch, they need a high-grade mana stone. Hearing this, our main character completely loses his mind. He panics because high-grade mana stones are legendary relics that are basically impossible to find in this day and age. Painon agrees, noting that ancient ruins are incredibly scarce, and finding a functional high-grade stone is almost impossible. Even a basic mana stone costs at least 3,000 gold coins, which would totally bankrupt Zik instantly. If he gets caught messing with shady magic, he'll be banned from using aura entirely. 15 years is too long. And 3,000 gold is way too expensive. He's going crazy, but he refuses to give up now. Thanks to his awakening ceremony, everyone thinks he possesses aura, but in reality, he only has ether and healing abilities. Ether is notoriously hard for humans to control, but it's the key to mastering legendary dragon slayer techniques. To survive this dangerous world, he has to grow exponentially stronger. That's why he needs the Sword of Gran. But man, finding a high-grade mana stone is a total nightmare. Where on earth is he actually going to find one? Painon mentions that whoever designed this blueprint was a pure genius, creating an incredibly efficient and ambitious system. Even if the power source is ridiculously complex, it's something you rarely see outside of Golden Age relics. Hearing about the Golden Age triggers a sudden spark in Zik's mind. He immediately begs the professor to start working on the design right away, shocking Painon, who asks if he really wants to wait 15 years. But our main character tells him no, he's going to find and bring back a high-grade mana stone himself. You see, the legendary Golden Age was a completely different era of raw magic, ancient power, and grand scales. And that's where we leave it. Next time, you and I will find out how he hunts down a dragon tier relic. You and I are diving into a world where Tarkin Drake gave humanity a century of peace. See, among those stolen dragon nest relics from the hero era known as the Golden Age of Magic. And man, those things completely blew past any tech or sorcery. They even had a high-tier mana stone that could power up an entire village. Now chilling in the main library of Drake Academy, our main character realizes this place is still standing because people believe Tarkin himself built it. But while someone was sorting through the old dusty library archives, a Golden Age ruin was uncovered. This crazy find forced the three great families and Magic Tower wizards to team up and start digging. After months of work, they struck gold. It was a massive deal, even hitting the headlines of every paper. Now in the records room, our main character is thinking that nobody actually knows about these ruins right now. If he sits around, he will miss out too, so he activates his dragon eye to scan the room. Bam, he spots something. He mutters, "This has got to be it," and uses ether to shape a sharp blade slicing right through the floor tile. He says this is the only way to use Soul Spirit, and remembers learning advanced ether techniques from his old master. It is super versatile, even perfect for slicing things up. But man, the backlash is no joke. Sucking up that much ether starts taking a heavy toll on his body. He grunts that it is way too early to quit and finally spots that hidden hole. Now pay attention here. He slips inside and seals it shut so nobody suspects a single thing. Down there, he mutters that the papers never mentioned how deep this goes, but suddenly footsteps echo, totally freezing him up. He thought it would take decades for anyone to find this place. Did someone actually beat him to the punch? But wait, it is just a bunch of skeletons holding shovels and rusty pickaxes, meaning some lick must have summoned them. Pulling his sword straight out of his inventory, he smirks and says, "If that is the deal, this is going to be a breeze." He charges, absolutely wrecking the first skeleton before shattering the second one. Suddenly a system window pops up showing he defeated 2 skeletons and earned 2 karma points. He completely forgot about this feature. Oh man, so he can actually grind points by smashing monsters. He was so hyped about finding the relics that it slipped his mind. Basically, this is his big chance to farm points. Wearing the smile of a total psycho, he starts sprinting right at the skeletons, shouting that daddy is home. He starts slicing and dicing every single bony creep, and soon he secures 40 karma points. Now he can finally unlock some cool stuff, deciding to buy a handy mini map. Once it boots up, he sees the system mapped out this entire underground zone, dropping a little marker to show his exact location. He spots a weird button in the corner, and when he clicks it, the screen shifts into a full 3D model layout. He realizes this feature is going to be incredibly useful, but notices one spot highlighted in a weird color. Right then, a system window pops up asking if he wants directions to the Dragon Slayer tomb storage. He freezes in total shock reading that message, remembering it took the pro excavators months to find a thing. But hey, he is going to get there in seconds. He clicks yes, and you and I get to watch the system map out the fastest route. This is seriously broken. There is no way he can get lost now. After hiking for a bit, he finally reaches his goal. Standing before a massive towering door he has absolutely no clue how he will break. Pushing it open is definitely out of the question, but the second he touches the surface, weird energy flares up. He flinches, realizing it is a high-tier mana ward, making it basically impossible for him to break. Through desperate, he asks the system for help and it actually responds, confirming his request to take control of the storage, but since auto-access fails, the system switches over to manual overwrite mode. He is stunned that the AI actually listened to him, then another prompt pops up asking if he needs anything else, addressing him directly as Zach Drake. This totally blows our boy away and he wonders when this system became so talkative. He straight up asks why he was sent back in time, but it claims it cannot process that request. He tries asking what the system actually is but gets the exact same error. Frustrated, he asks who built it, but it stonewalls him again. He sighs, thinking that it sucks that the biggest questions are blocked. Stick with me because we are about to see if it opens. Alright, you and I are about to watch our boy enter the open storage of the Dragon Slayer's tomb, realizing something huge. Every single chest there is a treasure box packed with crazy rare artifacts, legendary loot, and tons of invaluable gear. Finding just one of these is insane luck, but he's got rows of them, and he plans on taking every single one. He's absolutely stoked because he finally got his hands on high-grade mana stones, and we aren't talking about just one. He found 4 high-level stones. He spends 1 point to expand his inventory space, bringing his slot total up to 40. But 40 slots still isn't enough, so he'll have to keep returning here until graduation. For today, he decides to wrap it up. But suddenly, a creepy mist starts forming behind him. As soon as he senses the strange vibes, he turns around. A dark, ominous fog is literally staring right at him. Confused, he leans back against the wall, but then something starts glowing. Glowing magic circles suddenly spawn all around his body, catching him completely off guard as they spin. Watch closely here, because he vanishes from the vault and gets forcefully teleported straight into a completely different location. He asks the system where the heck he just landed, and the system reveals his brand new location. The system says he's in the Dragon Slayer's house, but Zich has never heard of a room packed with coffins before. Opening his minimap, he sees he isn't actually too far from his previous spot, but there's a catch. There's no path leading here and it's totally cut off, meaning he's stumbled upon an undiscovered secret zone. Since he can't just walk away from a secret area, he decides to start pushing one of the coffins open. Inside, he finds a set of armor, and the system confirms it's the exclusive gear of the legendary Dragon Slayer. Staring at the set, he realizes it's insanely high quality and totally different from the Golden Age armor he knows. But then he notices a small slot on the back of the armor, clearly meant to hold some kind of power source. Getting a wild idea, he pulls a high-grade mana stone out of his inventory to test out his theory. The system explains that the Dragon Slayer's gear is a special exclusive set that runs on mana stones as batteries. Determined to turn the power on, he inserts the high-grade mana stone directly into the slot. The armor immediately powers up and starts shaking violently, leaving him completely baffled by the reaction. Then boom, the suit explodes. The system reports that the activation failed because of defective components. I know what you're thinking, shouldn't he run? Well, the system warns him of an overload, but Zich says it's too late. Zich complains that the system spoke too late since it already blew up, wondering how this mana power even works. Does it really need that much energy to run? He figures he'll just have to ask Pain about it next time. Deciding to keep exploring, he checks room after room, but unfortunately every single one of them is empty. Reaching the final room, he only finds an empty glass cube, but then a sudden system alert pops up. Zich breaks into a cold sweat reading the message, asking if the system is actually serious about Tara K. Drake. That guy was a complete lunatic. The system reveals that Zich just found the legacy of his crazy ancestor. It's the cursed heart of the dragon Bahamut, which his ancestor apparently kept as a twisted family legacy. The bizarre energy he felt earlier was definitely coming from this heart, and something feels incredibly off right now. The system warns him that the cursed Bahamut heart is actively reacting to his own personal energy. Suddenly, dark whispers fill his mind, repeating a terrifying command to kill every single person in sight. Thankfully, his ultimate mental defense skill activates, blocking the dragon's desperate attempt to control his mind. He wonders why he even considered slaughtering everyone, but as his eyes turn pitch black, a mysterious fog appears. The dark fog completely wraps around the room, and a sudden secret quest notification flashes on his screen. To claim Tara K. Drake's legacy, he must conquer the ancient curse carved into the dragon's heart. Zich is absolutely stunned as the sheer power of the curse causes the system itself to glitch out. The darkness invades his consciousness, turning his eyes black, but Zich just slams his head against the glass. Annoyed by the noisy whispers, he shuts them down, saying that true freedom must be earned by yourself. Calling the voice in his reflection an absolute idiot, Zich completely shatters the heavy glass cube with ease. The system confirms he successfully overcame the dragon's curse, completing the secret quest once and for all. He receives the legacy of Tara K. Drake, though our main character realizes just how dangerously close he came. And trust me, you and I are about to find out as a brand new skill suddenly activates. Alright, you and I are diving into crazy healing, infinite energy, and a system starting the absorption of Bahamut's epic heart. He looks up to see that glowing heart, and suddenly pure energy starts piercing right through his own chest. With his body burning, he is like, what the heck is this? But he can feel this insane, dense, pure mana. He feels everything, but he does not have a single mana circle to control it. This much power will trash his body. With nowhere to go, it is going to blow him up. He needs to do something fast or he is dead meat. So he activates his supreme sealing technique and starts locking that wild energy deep inside him, thinking. If he channels ether into the mana, he can seal it. He pushes past his limits and boom, a huge explosion. Once the smoke clears, he drags himself up, aching all over but smiling because he actually pulled it off. Right on his chest, there is a brand new Bahamut dragon crest. The heart is gone, meaning he fully absorbed it. So that is how Bahamut's mana flows, but when he catches his reflection, he is like, what on earth is this? Now pay attention, because the system pops up to confirm he officially absorbed the legendary cursed heart of Bahamut. Suddenly, status windows start spamming his vision, announcing that the absorbed mana completely rewrote his entire biology. His constitution is now a sacred body, but there is a catch: he cannot use all that crazy power just yet. For safety, 95% of it is locked, but as the Tarakan Drake descendant, he gets access to special scriptures. Plus, he gets a beginner quest book. He is totally confused about this sacred body and scripture stuff. He decides to check it later, but then he pauses. Wait, there is more. His ancestor was apparently loaded. A new window pops up asking if he wants to unlock the next legendary legacy of the Tarakan Drake. He is absolutely mind-blown as the system prepares to unlock the ultimate legacy of the Tarakan Drake. Back at the Platinum Mansion, he packs up his massive loot, getting everything organized inside his room. Now it is time to check his updated status window. He has unlocked a bunch of insane new skills. The main one is a draconic skill called Spirit Voice, giving his words actual power over reality. This skill is totally next level, but it seems he needs to grow way stronger to fully unleash it. He also got Dragon Domination and that Sacred Body Constitution. Reading this, his jaw literally drops. I know what you're thinking, who is Tarakan? Well, our main character asks the system to show those details again. The system tells him that if he wants the deep lore on Tarakan, he has to upgrade the system first. He is like, upgrade it? How? Turns out he has to physically travel to a specific location for the update. The system asks if he wants a map route and our boy says yes, but when he looks at the destination, he recognizes it instantly. The map is pointing him straight to Valhalla, the ultimate training facility for elite knights. Getting inside is strictly restricted to high-ranking officials. Slipping in undetected is basically a suicide mission. Going there was definitely not on his agenda, but to unlock the rest of the Tarakan legacy, he has to. He changes his plans. Guess he is stuck dealing with his trash family a bit longer. He opens his quests. The beginner screen says he will start with basic tutorial quests, scaling up as he levels up his power. Finishing them unlocks sweet rewards. He realizes this is a pretty straightforward deal. If he completes a quest, he wins. It is basic RPG logic. When he asks about the tutorial details, the system instantly generates the challenge. He is caught off guard as a strange light surrounds him, and the entire training room begins to warp. The reality around him shifts completely. He wonders if he just got teleported again, but this place feels totally different. The vibe is completely off. Then he spins around and spots a massive monster pointing a weapon right at him. It is a giant orc. The tutorial objective pops up telling him to take down these spawn beasts. He must use 2 or more skills to beat them with a 60-minute limit. The rewards, points, and shop access. He pulls his sword from his inventory, realizing this tutorial is basically the system throwing him a hardcore training session. The monsters charge at him immediately. Our boy smiles and decides it is time to go all out. All three beasts strike at once, but he quickly activates his high-speed movement and swift consecutive slash skills. He shreds the monsters like butter, thinking his heavy greatsword suddenly feels lighter than a feather. The system explains that his new sacred body lets him push his physical limits and absorb massive amounts of ether. And trust me, you and I are about to watch him master martial arts faster than anyone in history. Alright, you and I are diving into the insane power of this sacred body cheat. He literally thinks he can hit Purple Knight level. Just like that, the tutorial mission is complete, sending him right back to the training ground. Was it all just some wild illusion? It felt way too real to be fake. But hey, time for loot. He scores 40 karma points and unlocks a brand new shop feature. Dude is hyped, scrolling through the inventory to see what kind of epic gear he can grab next. The shop is loaded with crazy potions and high-tier relics that cost a mountain of gold. He already plans on getting filthy rich by flipping these items. The system explains he can easily sell stuff through the marketplace tab, and he can unload inventory trash too. But wait, his longsword is locked, though the system asks to sell his elven dagger instead. That only gives him 4 measly points, making him realize the system only takes high-grade relics. Selling it for 4 points is straight-up robbery when he could get 100 gold elsewhere. Exhausted, he decides to shut down the shop and head home for some sleep. The next day, he visits the research lab to see Old Man Pinon. The professor is losing his mind, asking how on earth he scored a high-tier mana stone in just one day. Our boy just plays it cool, saying it was a bit complicated before shifting focus to the project design. Pinon replies that it is already done. Zik calls him an absolute genius, but the professor throws the compliment right back at him. He is seriously impressed that a kid brought him a treasure like this, though Zik can tell the guy is suspicious. See, whenever a mana stone is found on the continent, a registered serial number is engraved to track its rightful owner. Pinon is basically doing a background check, since that serial number reveals the exact dig site, time, and registered buyer. But here is the catch that you and I should watch out for. Zik's stone has no serial number at all because he found it. Since he dug it up himself, it is completely off the grid. Obviously, a shady situation like this raises major red flags. He casually asks if the professor is searching for a serial number, and Pinon admits he is, while Zik realizes the man has way too much talent to rot in this place. Later that day, Zik heads back to the blacksmith. With Pinon's design in hand, he finally finishes building the custom magic furnace he desperately needed, and he is pumped. He is absolutely thrilled testing out its power, and Pinon is just as hyped about his own legendary blueprints. With that settled, Zik thanks them both and heads off to class. The blacksmith is still in complete shock, saying he never dreamed his magic furnace would actually work. He thanks Zik again, but our silver-haired MC shrugs it off. It was a deal, so no thanks needed. Instead, he asks if the blacksmith remembers their little agreement. Gillam nods, saying he can have whatever he wants for free. Zik pulls out a massive material and asks him to forge a sword. Gillam is completely jaw-dropped. He stammers, wondering if he is seriously looking at a real dragon's fang. Zik is straight up handing him the fang of the cursed dragon, Bahamut. Gillam says he has never seen one this huge and perfectly intact. You and I both know Zik is hiding some seriously legendary secrets. This dragon fang is the second legacy of the Terrakin Drake, topped only by that massive heart he scored earlier. He says it is a long story, but suddenly notice Gillam is physically shaking in front of him and sobbing. The blacksmith cries tears of joy, grateful for the magic furnace and this legendary chance to forge with dragon fangs. Determined to repay Zik for this insane honor, he stands tall and proudly introduces his full name. Gillam Herbert. He promises to risk his very life forging this blade, which triggers a memory of Zik's past life. Back then, Gillam said the exact same words about risking his life. Our boy smiles, thinking the man never changes. He is still as stubborn as ever. Zik heads out, leaving his trust with the smith and eagerly anticipating the final blade. He cannot wait to hold that legendary weapon. Back in his room, Zik realizes that crafting a masterpiece takes time. Plus, he still has that high-stakes wager with Duke. It has already been a week since he sent that message. He figures the time is finally right, but out of nowhere, an eerie spine-chilling sensation creeps up his back. A dark, menacing mist manifests right behind him. It is Duke, demanding to know why he ignored his summons. Our hero physically shakes with fear while Duke looks absolutely furious, demanding some straight-up, honest answers. Zik tries to play it off, reminding him that the message literally said he could come whenever he wanted. And well, he just did not feel like it. Duke grabs him by the collar, completely done with the excuses. Without warning, Duke literally chucks him straight out the window. Zik is free falling from a terrifying height. He is totally doomed unless he grabs something. Trust me, you and I need to see how he survives this drop. Alright, you and I are jumping right into Duke grabbing him by the neck, asking if he wants another round. He did not even bother looking for him, whining about being stood up when Zik was not even in the infirmary. Infirmary this time, it felt like a total setup to provoke him, leaving Zik wondering what mess he got into. Insane trouble he stumbled into. Duke gives him exactly 5 seconds to spill the truth, but our boy just laughs and says. He is hilarious, calling out the Duke for being a liar too, labeling him a Gardner Dexter. The Duke just smiles and tosses our main character back into the room. The old man then admits the kid is right, revealing that he used to be a legendary Black Knight of Drake. He introduces himself as Duke Drake, reaching out to shake Zik's hand. Zik immediately apologizes from the bottom of his heart for acting so disrespectful to an honorable. Alright, let's jump in. He speaks straight from the heart, leaving the old man totally baffled and asking if he's overreacting. He asks what he means by having been a Black Knight, but the old guy shrugs it off, saying he's just Red Knight. Zik wonders if that is even possible. How can someone downgrade from a Black Knight to a Red Knight? Duke snaps and tells him to drop it, leaving our main character to silently observe his reaction, noticing that the old man is actually trembling. So Zik decides to match his sincerity with his own truth. He explains his entire situation, prompting Duke to realize the kid already knew his real identity from the start. He was just trying to provoke him on purpose. Zik admits it, and the old man starts letting out a chuckle, agreeing to take him on as a disciple. Watch closely because Zik is absolutely stunned by how easy this is. He thought it was way too easy. Still, Zik Drake makes a serious oath to Duke Drake, the former Black Knight. He promises to follow his orders, learn everything he can, work his butt off, and bring him honor. The old man laughs, saying nobody makes these kinds of old-school knightly oaths anymore, but Zik proudly tells him that he is still a true knight. Now calling him master, our boy wants to ask him a direct question. He asks why Duke accepted him, since the master is famous for never taking disciples except for Andre, the legendary genius of the century who trained for years. Let's pause here. Did Duke see some insanely broken talent that could even surpass Andre? So Duke asks him to take a guess on why he actually took him in. Our boy asks if it's because he is a genius, but Duke says he is too cocky. If that were, he would have accepted the Trum family's daughter instead. Still, he admits Zik has talent, but becoming a great Red or Black Knight takes more than just effort. Our boy ponders this, confident that he can reach that level. He knows he can easily hit the Red Knight tier, even though most average warriors get stuck at purple or blue. Duke tells him to cut the chatter and follow him for his very first lesson. They head to the training greenhouse gym, where Zik eagerly asks what epic technique he's gonna learn, but Duke's only instruction is to run for hours, and that's where we leave it. 3 hours later, the master is stunned and finally tells him to stop. Alright, you and I are hopping right back into the action as this old geezer stops our boy with a question. He claims it is nothing major, suddenly teleporting right behind him to grab him, but our main character reflexively dodges. Taking a few steps back, Duke demands to examine his body while Zik is literally sweating bullets right now. The master keeps rambling on about how something was completely off back in the infirmary or during that test. Like this kid literally just ran 500 laps, yet there is not a single drop of aura coming from him. Every time he tries to inspect him, the kid dodges, so he stares him down, asking if he cannot use aura. Now pay close attention here because Zik is totally panicking, wondering how the bronze statue reacted earlier. There was a whole scene because he emitted a golden glow. The old man creeps closer, asking to check his pulse. Our main character is totally creeped out, just staring at him and wondering if this old geezer is just nosy. A Duke who cannot wield aura is a massive scandal, but right now the guy is just acting out of interest. As soon as he gets his legendary sword, those suspicions will vanish, but he still needs to be super careful. He does not even need to lie here. Unlike his past life, he has not even managed to awaken yet. Ziek slowly slides off his glove, confirming it is true, while secretly activating his mana reflex to trick him. He explains that the mana clash proves he is no pureblood, but for some weird reason his aura is completely locked. And just like that, he pulls off a genius half-truth. Stick with me to see how this crazy gamble ends. Alright, you and I are about to watch this kid lose his mind, because if they find out he can't use aura, they'll totally kick him out. He literally starts crying right in front of the Duke. After checking his pulse, Zieg asks him for the verdict, but the Duke has nothing. He can't feel a single drop of aura in his body. Zieg is left sweating bullets, wondering if the master is just as clueless. The awakening ceremony is supposed to be absolute, so even if Zieg can't control it, his power should definitely still be there. The Duke explains that it's undeniable, calling Zieg an irregular. Our main character is completely shocked by this news. Now watch closely, because to regular folks this label is a death sentence, so Zieg asks what an irregular actually is. His master explains that irregulars are basically people with freaky, abnormal skills. For example, some can bend the rules by using both aura and mana at once, or even predict the future. Since it's usually bad news, he tells him not to overthink it. But Zieg asks if he really fits the bill. The Duke nods, pointing out his insanely high energy and insane recovery rate. No matter how badly he gets beat up, he heals in a flash. It's like he has unlimited stamina. Then the master asks where all that crazy energy usually goes, and Zieg guesses it goes straight into fueling his aura. Bingo, but in Zieg's case, he is constantly regenerating without using up any of his natural life force. Our boy is trying to make sense of this, asking if this means he'll never be able to use aura again. Without it, how can he learn the special vision technique? The Duke just laughs and says there's another way. He can use a different special force. Once a knight reaches a high enough tier, they can shape this raw physical power into their own unique style. While most people rely on aura, his technique is pure body strength. Let's show him how it works. The master tells him to watch closely, then suddenly bursts into a series of blindingly fast movements. This completely blows Zieg's mind. The Duke zips right back to his starting spot and asks if he caught that. Zieg asks if he can try mimicking those steps. The master offers a replay, but our main character is like, nah, I'm good. He wants to try right now, stepping up and perfectly copying the Duke's exact footwork. The old man is absolutely stunned. By retracing the master's steps, Zieg unlocks a whole new perspective, seeing details that were totally invisible to him before. It feels like he is in the middle of a real fight. Every single step has a purpose: attacking, dodging, or closing the distance. And yeah, you and I knew he was built different, but he finishes the path perfectly, leaving the Duke completely speechless. The old man is losing his mind. Just last week, the kid was nothing like this. What on earth happened? But deep down, he is incredibly hyped, realizing this kid is a total prodigy. Zieg just smirks, feeling super confident. He asks if that's all he's got, which completely triggers the Duke. He snaps, asking if Zieg is trying to mock him. Zieg just shrugs and asks what's next on the training menu. The Duke replies that it depends entirely on his behavior. Cut to the academy cafeteria. Our boy is crushing a massive plate of food, reflecting on his first month of training. Working with the Duke has skyrocketed his appetite, but suddenly an unwelcome guest pulls up right next to his table. It's Andre, demanding a rematch. Zieg is not having it, telling him he's too busy eating and to wait his turn. Andre sits down anyway, asking how he managed to convince Dexter. Zieg laughs inwardly, remembering he wasn't even his disciple back then. Andre is probably dying of jealousy just knowing they are training together. Then Zieg drops a truth bomb. Convince him, bro, he was the one who begged me to be his student. This absolutely triggers Andre, who just glares. He snaps back, claiming it's only because of his pure blood status. Now Zieg is getting annoyed, telling him he's obsessed. He calls out his massive superiority complex, leaving Andre totally speechless. Andre stammers, asking if that's all he has to say. But Zieg is just getting warmed up. He explains that even if his bloodline got his master's attention, the real reason why Dexter chose him is way simpler than that. He asks if Andre really thinks he had to beg for training. He earned his spot through pure skill. His blood was just the starting line, instead of crying about his inferiority complex. Just to feed his fragile ego, Zieg asks why he doesn't actually work hard to prove himself worthy of the family. With that, Zieg flares his aura, completely crushing Andre's spirit. Next thing we know, we are at the greenhouse training gym. Our protagonist is watching Andre run laps, asking his master what got into him. Dexter just shrugs, equally confused. He has no idea what clicked in the kid's brain, but Andre begged to join even if it meant just watching. He even swore to run 300 laps without using any aura, and there he goes, pushing his absolute limits. Zieg figured the guy was just an arrogant jerk, but it turns out Andre has some real determination in him. But let's be real, Andre is dying out there without Zieg's cheat healing. Let's see where they head next. Alright guys, stick with me as we see these academy kids crowding around, wondering why they got called out today. Turns out the big boss patriarch is visiting, and right on cue, a fancy ride rolls up with a hype man announcing his arrival. Everyone gets in line, and the moment the carriage stops, the guards pop the door open for the main man himself. He greets the headmaster while radiating this absolutely insane heavy pressure, just as the clock strikes noon. The patriarch struts forward, reaching out to shake hands, and literally everyone in the room can feel his terrifying aura. The big boss tells the headmaster he did a solid job, but the old guy humbly says it was all thanks to him. Zach's dad laughs it off, saying the headmaster always gets him. Meet the legendary leader of the Dragon Slayers. Arthur Drake, the third-generation chief. It is burning hot out here, so the headmaster invites them inside. But instead of heading in, the patriarch walks straight toward the students, catching everybody off guard. He tells the young rookies that they are the absolute hope carrying the entire future of the Drake family. He tells them to keep grinding and training hard, because one day they will earn the family's true respect. Now watch closely as the cadets celebrate and immediately drop to their knees to show some serious respect. After that, they head into the office to talk business, and one of the guests Arthur calls in is his own son. The young Zach greets the family head, but his dad just sighs and says nobody does those boring, stuffy greetings anymore. He tells him to grab a seat and asks if he likes tea, since he brought some top-tier stuff with him. Zach politely accepts while sweating inside, realizing his dad actually tracks every single detail of his personal life. Rumor has it the Drake leader knows absolutely everything, even secrets the Emperor himself has no clue about. Now Zach is feeling that terrifying reality firsthand. His dad reveals he called him in because of the Duke. He heard Zach became the Duke's disciple, and Zach mentally notes that his dad loves getting straight to the point. He explains the Duke did him a massive favor, and Arthur agrees, saying that even if he does not know his goal. Zach cuts him off right there, declaring that he wants to become the absolute strongest warrior on the continent. This completely stuns his dad, who stares him down while listening to Zach pour his heart out. He says he wants to be the strongest of all and as free as a soaring bird. That is his ultimate lifetime goal. Let's pause here because his dad suddenly unleashes his terrifying aura, asking if Zach really thinks he can surpass him. Zach is shaking, realizing this is the astral sword, a weapon that controls life and death regardless of distance. Cold sweat drips down his face. This is the ultimate peak of aura that a Black Knight can ever reach. His dad just keeps staring him down, but Zach, getting totally hyped, boldly says he absolutely plans to surpass him. The dad pulls back his aura and laughs, calling it the most interesting thing he has heard in years. He came to handle academy business and check on him, but simply looking at him was not going to be enough. Zach realizes his dad is a true Black Knight. He thought the Duke was strong, but this is next level. Suddenly, his dad pulls out a card and hands it over as a special gift for becoming the Duke's apprentice. He reveals it is a legendary black card, which completely blows our main character's mind right then and there. Seeing his shocked face, his dad knows he recognizes it as Zach takes the card with shaking hands. This is a limitless credit card reserved for the elite, loaded with insane perks and benefits. He cannot believe he is holding one in real life, let alone getting it handed to him like this. His dad tells him to spend freely, and Zach thanks him, promising to only use it when absolutely necessary. He knows his dad has an obvious motive. By using the card, his dad will easily track his every move. But using a legendary black card just to keep tabs on him, that is some next-level flex. His dad thanks him for his time, wishing him luck on his goal, and tells him he can leave now. Zach bows, says his goodbyes, and heads out of the office, but the drama is not over yet. Suddenly, the Duke climbs straight through the window, calling Arthur a completely heartless and cold-blooded idiot of a father. Arthur jokes that he seems pissed, but the old man snaps back, asking why he is acting like a good dad now. Arthur explains his elite position kept his hands tied, admitting that what he says probably sounds like a total insult to him. But the Duke just sits down, saying he does not give a damn. Arthur smiles, calling him the only one who speaks to him normally. And that's where we leave it as he pulls out a bottle, inviting him to share a drink together. Alright, you and I are jumping right back into the action where Arthur is putting a smile on this old man's face. He knows absolutely nothing because he never leaves the academy, but Zick's dad jumps in, saying his own network is still active. His eyes and ears are scattered all over the continent, and word is the crazy emperor is up to some seriously shady business. He is hunting for the secret of immortality across the land, and Zick's dad wonders if that kind of magic is even real. But the Duke shut that down fast, saying even if you score the eternal flame with top-tier magic, living forever is a total myth. Completely impossible, Arthur agrees but throws out a major what if. What if there actually is a legendary ancient dragon relic out there? Now pay close attention to this corner. While those two chat, our main character is hiding, totally eavesdropping on their secret talk. Using his mana manifestation for some superpowered active listening, he overhears them discussing a legendary relic linked to the ancient dragon. If this secret item is connected to the dragon, then Zick's dad admits it might actually be the real deal, which is insane. Dexter asks if the Emperor is already hunting for it, and Zick's dad drops a bomb about the Black Knight's order. Apparently, those Dark Knights reported that the ancient relic is probably hidden somewhere deep within the icy northern continent. Zick's master is totally confused about the north, asking if the Empire is still completely in the dark about this location. Arthur confirms they do not know yet, but it is only a matter of time before they start digging up the past. The moment that Mad Emperor took the throne, he launched a brutal unification war that swept across the central continent. Only after seizing half of it did the fighting finally stop, making Dexter think the crazy ruler had given up his dream. But nope, with an immortality artifact suddenly in play, the Emperor will stop at absolutely nothing to get his hands on it. Arthur warns that the entire land will be drowned in blood and war once again because of this priceless, powerful relic. Honestly, you and I can see why he needs to head north and why Zick's dad called this meeting. Zick's dad called this meeting, prompting the Duke to laugh and call him a clever old fox before they raise a glass. After spying on them, poor Zick completely collapses to the floor, totally drained of mana from keeping that spell active. Ever since absorbing Bahut's heart, the brutal side effects have been kicking his butt, but his mind immediately races to that dragon. He is positive the strange statue he grabbed before regressing was indeed the legendary dragon relic. Everything finally clicks. He basically stole the very prize the Emperor desired, triggering a massive manhunt by his elite unit, the Hounds. Back then, Zick was so consumed by his obsession with revenge that he didn't give a single crap about anything else. Yet he finally put the pieces together. The system administrator that sent him back in time was actually the relic's power. It was all the dragon's doing, though he still has no clue why they saved him, leaving him with endless questions. As the elders wrap up their meeting, the Duke jokes about going out to make a quick buck somewhere. Zick's dad chuckles, saying the Duke never fails to amuse him before they both head out of the quiet room. His father stops by the door, staring at it suspiciously, while our boy wonders if that truly was the legendary relic. If it really is the dragon's item, how on earth does it grant eternal life? But right then, his dad acts. His father suddenly swings the door open, sensing a sneaky intruder, but our boy vanishes into thin air like a ghost. Finding absolutely nobody there, the dad shrugs. Our boy had already leaped out the window to make his clean escape. Hours later, Zick is back to his intense training when his butler Dicker mentions some random student is outside. Zick is totally baffled about who this uninvited visitor could be, but shrugs and tells the butler to let him in. He half expected to see Riane walk through the door, but instead, it is Lion Stone standing there looking incredibly desperate. Suddenly, Lion starts begging on his knees for Zick to take him in, making our boy instantly regret not ignoring him. Zick sighs, asking what he even means by accepting him and if he seriously wants to become his loyal subordinate. Lion swears he will lay down his life, but when Zick asks why he did not join Jen, Lion explodes in anger. He was abandoned, and now he is completely desperate to enter Valhalla, which makes Zick realize history is repeating itself. It is just like his past life, and Zick still cannot comprehend why this dude is so damn obsessed with Valhalla. Zick tells him to get lost and beg Truman or Siemens, grab his sword and turn back to his training. He reminds the guy that even with his help, getting into Valhalla is basically impossible, so why bother begging him? Plus, there is zero trust. For all Zick knows, this loser could be a spy sent by Jake to infiltrate him. Hearing this, Lion pulls out a dagger and brutally slices his own ear off, admitting it is natural to doubt him. He will prove his loyalty no matter what, and trust me, you and I are absolutely hooked to see what happens next. Buckle up because you and I are about to watch Zik threaten to literally rip this kid's tongue and legs apart. He demands Liam submit completely, leaving him totally stunned as he remembers Zik slicing off his cousin's ear. Back then, Zik spared his life, calling him trash. Now Liam desperately begs to be accepted so he can grow strong. This makes our main character flash back to his past life, when he was on his knees begging his master for training. In his memory, he's bleeding and his master tosses a sword at him. Zik offers Liam that exact same test. If Liam can block just one single strike he's in, Liam gets super excited and immediately thanks him. A moment passes, Zik asks if he got his wounds treated. Liam says yes, fully prepared to face him. But honestly, Liam thought blocking one hit would be a breeze, especially since he's already an aura user. Boy, was he wrong. Zik looks like an absolute monster, staring down at him with giant dragon eyes. Liam literally starts shaking, barely able to breathe. Suddenly, our main character charges forward at lightning speed. Liam raises his blade to defend, but Zik strikes with ridiculous force, instantly sending the poor kid's sword flying away. Now pay attention to what happens next. Liam crashes to the ground, completely clueless about how he got destroyed. Zik stands over him, asking if that's all he's got. He respects his drive but calls him totally useless. He tells Liam to give up on Valhalla, but Liam runs after him, pleading for another chance. Walking away, Zik reflects on Liam's tragic situation. Abandoned by his cousin, he's basically got nothing left. Without being his cousin's slave, Liam never would have entered the academy since he's from a distant branch family. Even Zik, a direct descendant, got kicked out in his past life, so he totally understands the kid's anxiety. But is it really worth begging this hard? Suddenly, Liam comes out of nowhere and desperately grabs Zik's leg. Zik remembers that in his past life, Liam got expelled, destroying his entire path as a knight. Liam eventually became a high-level mercenary known as the Mercenary King, a red-rank beast. Now the future king is crying, begging for a single chance while our protagonist just stares coldly. Zik finally relents, giving him one last shot under a crazy condition: cut off your own ear right now. If you want to be a mute, slice your ear, a crippled, chop off your ankle. Zik grabs his shoulder. He unleashes a massive wave of heavy aura, literally ordering Liam to cut off his own sword arm. You and I both know that's a psychotic demand. Zik just stares, testing if Liam's arm is too precious. Telling a swordsman to lose his arm is basically telling him to quit. No sane person would do it. Zik tells him to leave so he can train, but the moment Zik turns around, Liam starts moving. Zik doesn't get why the kid is this desperate, but thinks he shouldn't worry too much anyway. Even without Valhalla, he'd still become a legendary red-rank knight, but then Zik notices something shocking. Liam actually raises his sword, lining it up to slice his own arm off because Zik told him to. Seeing this, Zik immediately sprints forward to stop him, barely managing to block the blade in time. He shatters Liam's sword in half. Liam is totally confused, while our main character is absolutely furious. Zik yells, asking if he's a complete idiot, like what if Zik hadn't changed his mind in time? Liam sadly responds that he has something far more valuable than his arm, which leaves Zik totally speechless. He warns Liam that if he pulls another stunt like that, he's expelled immediately, no second chances. Liam's eyes light up, asking if he's finally accepted. Zik just barks at him to hurry up. He adds that as his underling, walking around missing an ear would look terrible on Zik's reputation. Back at Zik's quarters, they reattach Liam's ear. Liam asks if he's really allowed to use such high-grade potions. Zik says it's just an investment. Sipping his tea, he gets straight to the point and asks why. Did Liam really plan to cut his arm off? What could possibly be more important than his own life? Liam quickly explains it's for his mother. After being abandoned by Jake, he got news that she fell dangerously ill. Her fever passed, but now her body is covered in mysterious red spots that look like blooming roses. She keeps growing weaker by the day, and the village healers have absolutely no clue how to cure it. Zik asks if that's his real reason for wanting into Valhalla. Liam nods, needing those elite medical benefits. Trust me, you and I can see Zik's respect growing as he starts writing down a plan of action. Let's dive back in as Zik recalls those red rose-like spots and that crazy high fever. These symptoms point to red flower disease, the deadly plague that is going to ravage the continent in 5 years. It is super contagious, wiping out tons of folks, and it took forever for anyone to finally whip up a cure. He hands over that paper, telling him it is the recipe to save his mother. It is simple enough for anyone to make, and a stunned Liam asks how he got this legendary recipe. He is talking about a disease nobody even knows yet, but Zick remembers the alchemist brothers, Hall and Jeff. They developed the cure that saved the continent, but the greedy alchemist guild charged a literal fortune for it. Now watch this. Once they found out, they leaked the cure to everyone, spreading it like wildfire. Even the mercenary groups found out. Zick tells Liam that now that they have the cure in hand, he doesn't need to go to Valhalla or serve under him anymore, but Liam instantly jumps to his feet. Swearing that is never happening, he vows to dedicate his entire life to Zick, recalling the moment he sliced off his own ear. He swears absolute loyalty for life, and our boy is pretty. You and I both know having a literal mercenary king as your loyal underboss is a massive win. Meanwhile, Owen heads straight over to the director's office, who wonders what the young student is doing there. Owen drops a wild proposal, suggesting they jack up the difficulty of the academy's exam this semester. The director asks why, and Owen explains that while it sounds extreme, this year's rookies are insanely cracked. Most come from elite families, including 2 pure-blooded awakened. If the test is as easy as last year's, they will never see the true potential of these new cadets. The director actually agrees, saying that is classic genius thinking from a Samian descendant, and promises to consider his sneaky proposal. Owen bows, says his thanks, and leaves. Left alone, the director stares out the window, muttering that blood never lies. If they want to eliminate future threats, they need to nip this potential trouble right in the bud. What kind of crazy trap they are setting for Zick remains a mystery, but you definitely must smash that like button and subscribe to the channel right now, since we are all caught up on the chapters. It will take some time for the next video, but channel members get to watch weekly exclusive updates on this series and other absolute bangers. Check out the hand-picked video popping up right on your screen. And that's where we leave it today. Trust me, you're going to want to see what happens next.